Alright, we should be live now. As many people in the Twitch chat have noticed, Linus is not here. As some of you might notice in the next few seconds, we are early. I'm super stoked because we're early. It is 4:28. Our start time is 4:30. So I'm not really going to get into any super awesome topics right away. I just wanted to make sure that I was exactly 2 minutes early, because we're usually exactly anywhere between 0 to 15,000 minutes late. So I just really actually wanted to be early this time. Linus is in Hawaii for undisclosed reasons that many of you have already figured out, but I'm not going to say anything because I'm not sure if I'm allowed. This here is my brother, ColdSC on the tweets. He is a StarCraft caster aficionado? Sure.
Amateur StarCraft caster.
Amateur StarCraft caster. And you can look him up on Twitter, like I said, at ColdSC. For this stream, the Twitter blitzes will be controlled by my Twitter. So if you want to tweet in for any Twitter blitz that I call out, I would tweet at SlickPC for now. I'm sure next week when Linus is back, we'll go back to Linus's Twitter, but right now it's just a lot easier for me to manage if it's my Twitter. There will also be a after party. People have been looking for an after party for a while. The after party will be myself and my brother. It's going to take us a little bit because we're going to race over to my house before we actually do the after party, so there will be a little bit of a time gap, but we're going to leave immediately after the stream and start immediately when we get to my house, and everything is already set up, so it should be pretty quick. I'm guessing about 10-15 minutes. So there will be an after party. That's the Twitter you should be using. Blah, 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 blah. Now we're going to roll right into it. So for the topic callouts I have for this week, Valve has some teasers for Living Room something in 2014. They're not releasing a lot of other information about it. And Nintendo legend Hiroshi Yamauchi has passed away, which is super depressing. But I'm going to pass it on to some less depressing news.
CyanogenMod raises $7 million. They're going to be doing some really interesting things. We'll delve into that. And Dota 2 LAN Support.
LAN Support.
LAN
Dota
Support
2
is awesome. Something
Boom.
We've been missing in gaming. You know, glad someone's finally changing and saying, no, you can still do that. You know, big companies have tried to set a precedence that you can't do that. And it's not true, as we're seeing. So Dota 2 will be offering LAN Support. We'll talk about that as well.
We went from like negative EA news every week, and now we're transitioning into like positive Valve news every week. Because last week they had the family and friends sharing, and then this week they have like there's something coming, and whenever there's a something coming from Valve, it's always epic. So we're gonna roll into the intro, which will work this week. And we're back. I know that had Linus in the intro, but we didn't feel like recreating all the assets for this show, apparently. So that's what we have. The first topic that I want to jump into is Netflix CEO. If I can get you to bring this up on your screen, we'll switch to your screen. So Netflix, not CEO, sorry, Netflix Chief Content Officer Ted Sarandos has said that bandwidth caps in Canada are basically a human rights violation. So as you can see on this website here, it is almost a human rights violation what they're charging for internet access in Canada. And what he's referring to is low broadband caps in place at Canadian ISPs that started around 15 gigabytes. Now, the first thing I noticed when reading this article was like, yeah, okay, that's horrible. I've dealt with bandwidth caps in Canada before. I've dealt with slow internet in Canada before. I've dealt with crappy, terrible pricing for internet in Canada before. But what almost needs to get more attention is like, yeah, Canada is a bad situation right now, but look at Australia. I have a bunch of mods that I talk to constantly and a bunch of forum members that I talk to quite consistently from Straya, as they say it. It's apostrophe, capital S, Treya. It's freaking awesome. I love it. But their internet is so much worse right now.
It is.
And there's even some places in like the UK where I've talked to people and they have even worse situations than us. So while I'm happy that the Netflix Chief Content Officer is pointing out that it's kind of crap in Canada, it's kind of crap in a lot of places.
Do you have any idea what Netflix's presence is in Australia?
No.
Do they are they a service there?
That's
Do they have to
I'm
fake
sure,
American IP addresses like some Canadians do?
That's
to
interesting. Well, okay,
use American
because
Netflix?
it's a service here, but it's craptastic.
It
so
is.
are you wondering like how possibly craptastic it is?
Or if it even exists in Australia, if they
I'm
have,
sh-
because I know because of copyright laws and different things that we have in Canada
Yeah.
to protect Canadian artists. Same thing with the radio. You have to have so much content and yada yada yada.
There we go. Watching the Twitch chat. Apparently they do have it, but it's crap. That's really similar to Canada. Like we don't have a lot of content, and it's not very high quality. Like a lot of times the only streams you can properly get are low quality streams because Netflix is automatically adapting to try and figure out how good your picture can be. So a lot of the really commonly Canadians will VPN or some other form VPN down to the States and then watch their Netflix through a VPN so that they can get access to all this increased amount of content. Someone just said we don't have it. I have other people saying they do have it. Not entirely sure, but anyways, it's just kind of bad everywhere. And this is interesting because for the longest time everyone has praised the internet for being this crazy thing. But now that it's been around for a long time, ISPs got really complacent sitting on all that praise and have done nothing, really.
Literally.
A lot of ISPs are still just laying copper. Just like, do, we don't need fiber, no one cares, do. And now everyone's like, hey, listen.
Everything is going to the internet, though. That's another thing. You know, we're talking about Netflix. It's now what you watch on TV.
Yeah.
It's how you use your phone. It's how you use, your tablet if you choose to have one. We have a laptop on each of our laps. Internet is going to be the medium for everything, from VoIP to just general surfing to everything we do nowadays. So that bandwidth has to increase.
And people are even thinking about, like, NVIDIA is setting up those things so you can stream games down. Like, that's insane. That's going to take so much bandwidth. Every new technology that comes out seems to be internet connected, so that's a really good point. Even in this room, we each have a phone, we each have a laptop, and there's a stream PC.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap. There's another laptop over there. Like, there's just so much stuff. And in every room
We're not
in this
including
house,
anything past the door.
No,
No.
And this is a tiny room. Like, we barely even fit in this room. Like, you guys have seen sometimes if I have to leave the scene, I like climb over the back of the couch and like ninja jump across so that I can actually get out of the room, which is kind of absurd. So we just wanted to bring that up. Netflix does recognize that things suck, and they are pointing it out. And I do appreciate that.
Good for them, though. Who else in a power position has done something like that?
Yeah.
Because it is ridiculous. It is terrible. And as, to repeat what you said, it's bad in Canada, it's bad in other places. But at least it's getting a spotlight somewhere by someone who's in a power position.
For sure. And it's surprising that he's willing to call out an entire country's worth of companies. It's like, you all suck.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
It's interesting. Now we're going to jump down to Cyanogen, which has raised $7 million from capital investment recently from Benchmark Capital and Redpoint Ventures. They've raised $7 million. Cyanogen is an interesting little beast because there's a huge amount of registered users that are on it. I don't remember the exact number. Do you remember? It's like 8 million. It's something crazy. I think it's 8 million registered users, and that's the people that are clicking the button saying that they
To share the information.
Yeah, to share
which
the
I
information.
never click in my life.
Exactly. Neither
That
would I.
might take a kilobyte of bandwidth that I want because I have some of the world's worst internet. So I need to keep that completely on lockdown.
Yeah.
So sorry, I'm just one of the people who would
That's
not.
a pretty good time.
I'm just one of those people who would not click would unclick that button. I'm one of those guys.
I would too. It's not even unclicking it. You have to go and select it, which is a large part of the reason
Would
why it's
never
not
do
that many.
that.
I would never go find it, for one, and for two, I would never select it just because I'm always really scared. But what other information might
That's
be
true.
sharing, right?
That's
So
true.
personally, I care about that. The only program that I do like share my usage data is Firefox. It's because I've been running their pre-alpha program for a ridiculously long time.
Now that you said that, just to not jump ahead of you a little bit, and we'll talk about my story of this morning a little bit later, but I was on CyanogenMod today, and it reminded me of Firefox, because I know you like to run nightly, and there's Aurora, and there's a couple other versions. I'm boring, I just run the stock. But CyanogenMod does the same thing. They have completely unstable versions, and they rate them. There's 4 actual ratings. And so you can jump into different versions, which completely reminded me of Firefox, which we're both a big fan of.
4 ratings: the normal one, beta, Aurora, and nightly. You're right. That's really interesting. So actually, to get into your story, one of the big reasons why people are thinking Cyanogen doesn't have more users, like way more users, is their extremely complicated install process, which can be around 23 steps. Now, when I brought the idea of this topic up to Richard, my brother at ColdSC on Twitter for the new viewers, he was like, "Oh, that's cool. I should install it on my phone." And I was like, "Yes, that's awesome." So he goes to install it on his phone this morning, and
Well, I spent 2 hours trying to figure out, maybe not quite 2 hours, there was some YouTube in there and things like that, but I spent a decent amount of time this morning trying to get it to work, and I had a cable that you actually brought me.
yeah.
An extremely long ribbon cable, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, ribbon USB cable, like super long from Korea that I brought back, so I thought it would be cool.
Was having some connection issues between the phone and the PC, and realized eventually that it could be my cable, so I swapped out the cable. Oh, it's working. That's great, right? So went into it. I was using a program called Odin, which it seems like all the YouTuber guys have been using. I went to first you have to root your phone before you can even do any sort of mod. So I went to root it, program crashes. Windows says, would you like to send this error? Would you like to close the program? So I said, close it. Now I'm locked into a boot loop, which terrified me because for my work, I have to use my phone constantly. So a little bit scared. Finally figured out how I could unboot loop it through the Odin mod. So I did that. That was successful. But then again, when I tried to root it, again, the whole program crashes. I spent a little bit of time on Google. I was running out of time by this point. I had to head over here. But I spent a little bit of time on Google. It seems to be a problem for a lot of people that while you're halfway through the whole program, it's not an error like, oh, this didn't work. It's a Windows, the whole program flatline.
That's crazy, and that would even add more to that statistic of users that haven't pressed the button and have pressed the button. So there's an insane amount of people that want to use Cyanogen, that are using Cyanogen, but aren't enabling their sharing thing. They have a huge, huge power behind them. So they want to become the third biggest phone OS out there. So they want to be behind iOS, they want to be behind Android, and they want to have their own little thing. Now, this isn't saying that they're creating their own operating system from scratch. They're building on top of the base Android layer, but what they want to do is create the usability experience that they would want to have, personally. So Steve Kondik is the big guy behind Cyanogen, and he wants to create an experience that he would want. He's quoted saying some pretty awesome stuff. So there's a lot you can do whenever you listen to the users on what they want. That's one of his biggest quotes, which is like, boom, Microsoft is pouring billions of dollars into everything because they have billions of dollars worth of revenue, but they're pouring tons of money, I don't know exactly how much, into Windows Phone, and Windows Phone is not catching on. Cyanogen is catching on. Interesting little disconnect there. It's probably because Cyanogen is actually paying a ton of attention to their users and doing exactly what their users want. It's so interesting. They already have a hardware partner, and that hardware partner has been 99.9% leaked. It's pretty easy to read into it. He says he's going to be at the Oppo event, which be probably
Is that their event?
Yeah, it's probably going to happen.
Just for high fives. No.
Yeah. Hey guys, what's up? We're a possible hardware partnership, and you posted this video on your website and stuff. High five. So it's probably going to be them. It's pretty awesome. Now, you might be wondering, how do they expect to make money? Because if there's an investment of $7 million, they have to make money somehow. Now, he has said, the mobile devices out there, they're just not meant for anybody to use. That's a direct quote from him. And then he carries on from that to say, they're essentially mobile cash registers. We want to help you get stuff done and use these things to their fullest potential. So
how cool does that sound?
That sounds awesome. All of his quotes are so legit. And then he goes on to say, no comment has been made on how we will make money. But if you're a default OS on a device and you have 50 million users, there's a lot of ways to make money.
Now, the only thing I want to throw in there, I can't say I disagree with that. Makes a lot of sense. But what about Reddit?
Reddit loses money.
That's what we were talking about.
That's a good point. So Reddit bleeds money all the time. But as a phone OS,
True, I totally understand. It's not an orange and an orange. But it's just, they do need to figure out a path.
Yep, they do.
Because Reddit is a decent example. I'm probably going to get flamed in the comments, but it's a decent example of a situation where they are heavily used. Like, they call themselves the front page of the internet.
They basically are.
They are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But they're losing money, right?
Yep.
It's just...
But Reddit is a very difficult platform to monetize. That once they hopefully do, they will make giant mountains of planet-sized piles of cash because they have the biggest user base ever. But
It's true.
with an OS like your store, you could have promoted items in your store, which you can, if you have 50 million users, you can rake in money with that.
Absolutely.
You can take a cut out of your store. You can do other things.
I hear you.
Instead of like destroying your user audience by forcing ads on their face all the time. Like, you don't have to do that. You can do things that are a lot less aggressive, and you don't have to like hurt your viewer audience. Two things that I want to call out right away. I can tweet these out right now, just so you guys can get them, because I don't necessarily want to put them on stream. One of them is a video that was released by them, and the audio on it's just horrible, so I don't want to make all of your ears bleed. But I'm going to tweet out two things, so you can watch it yourself, but like I said, be careful with that video, because it is a little bit crazy in the audio there. When he's talking, it's fine, and then it cuts away from him talking, and it gets a little bit nuts. There's also a Reddit AMA about everything that's going on, and that AMA has stuff in it that's unreleased anywhere else. So I would actually highly recommend reading through that AMA. Just find the original poster's name in blue, and then Control F for it, and just bounce to all of his answers. That's a really easy way to go through AMAs if you haven't done that before. One of the biggest things they're working on, which would help solve your problem, hopefully, is one of the biggest and foremost things that they're working on is a one-click installer. So that's just kind of awesome, because they have some screenshots out for it, and it's a really difficult process, like you were talking about.
Everyone says it is, and there's just so many parts where it can fail. It takes so many different things to work. There's so many different devices, and even finding the firmwares, things like that. It was, and I started with an iPhone. I considered my iPhone useless without it being jailbroken. Like, I've been, and I know jailbreak and rooting, it is different. Of course it is. We understand that.
But you've been down that general road.
Exactly, the general road. You know, it wasn't my first kick at it. You know, and I did have a limited time frame, but it was difficult. It wasn't a fun experience. And having a one-click installer, a wizard installer, would be so much easier.
Yeah, and like if I tried to get Cyanogen wants to be mainstream now. So if we handed a phone right now to Mom, and was like, "Hey, Mom, install Cyanogen."
No.
If that phone still works in 20 minutes or has been touched, one of the two.
Yes.
It either wouldn't have been touched or totally won't work. I'm gonna go with the wouldn't have been touched part. But like, it's not gonna happen. My mom is fairly technical for the average mom. Sorry, I'm not trying to stereotype, but it's true. She's quite technical. She plays StarCraft, which is awesome.
Sent me a text last night. How do I build an orbital?
How do I build an orbital command? Schmur. That's awesome. But like, it just wouldn't happen. It's quite an advanced process. But if that one-click installer comes out and we're able to hand a phone to Mom and say install Cyanogen, she Googles them, gets their one-click installer, clicks the button, and it's done. There you go. There's a whole bunch more users right there. So that user count will explode. And I think if they have a one-click installer that actually works on everything, and they will release this out, and they start actually tracking the amount of people that they have on their OS properly, instead of just having the share information button, their user count will blow up. Like, this is huge. 2014 is going to be such a crazy year for phones, but not, in my opinion, necessarily because of hardware.
That's true. Well, the trend is shifting. Every iPhone that comes out, they're selling less of it.
Yeah.
You know, that seems to be the trend. And also, Apple's doing things that...
Proportionally less.
Yes, and it's also, this is going on to a completely different rant. Maybe we'll save it for the after show or later, something like that. But also, everything that Steve Jobs did was successful, and everything he said not to do was not successful. They are now doing what he said not to do. So we'll see how it works out. That's, you know, we could dive into that topic for the rest of the show if we wanted to, but it's, you know, like the 5C is what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
He said they would never release a budget iPhone. They also said he would never release a mini tablet. I don't remember exactly what he said, like under a certain size. The iPad mini is an exact contradiction to that. So we'll see how it works. You know, we'll see how it works, and we'll see how the 5C does. I know it's slated at, so we're completely jumping away from CyanogenMod.
Yeah, no,
I know it's slated at about $100 price, which is not bad. Basically, it's an iPhone 5 with colorful back that you're going to not see once you buy a case.
Yeah.
But
Or if you get their mesh case, it can be like a polka dot colorful back that doesn't protect your phone.
Exactly.
Woo! I'm excited to get into one of our topics later on, which we might actually have time for now. Did you put the vulnerabilities thing in the document? If not,
I did
it's
not put the
probably
links. Although we can keep talking. I can navigate there.
You work on that, and then we'll switch to your screen when we can. So there's been a whole bunch of security problems with iOS 7 already. One of the easiest things is you can, if you're on the lock screen, you can pull up something that I don't remember the name of. Do you remember the name of it?
That is actually in the doc. That's probably the only thing I included in the doc.
That works for me.
But it's called Control Center.
So you pull up the Apple Control Center, and then you're able to do minor things to your phone from there. So you can access the camera.
Yes, you can access. Well, actually, what you do is you open the calculator.
Okay.
And then you hold the power button down.
Right.
And then you hit cancel, and then that allows you to see the multitasking menu. From the multitasking menu, you can open the camera, which is pretty well on all phones, Android phones as well. If you open the camera from a shortcut or something like that, it's a stripped down version. This is not a stripped down version. You can go into the gallery, you can see all the pictures. You can then say, I want to email this picture. You can delete the picture from the email. You can delete the signature. You can email whoever you want. You can see their whole contact list. You can go to any contact, see all the details for those contacts.
So basically, like, you could email out all the contacts.
Mm-hmm.
You could...
Or take them all.
Or
take all the
take
info.
them all. Yep. You could email out to yourself or some third party that should not get these things, all the pictures. Or you could go to email a picture and delete the picture and then impersonate that person. So it's not very good right now. Apple is aware of this, and there's a fairly easy fix. If you go into your iPhone, you can disable that menu pull up.
Yeah.
And then that's fine.
That'll
you're fine at that
inherently
point.
just-
It's no longer a security violation. So if you have an iPhone, I would highly recommend going and disabling that right now, and Apple will fix it later. I'm not too worried about this, but for the people that don't know, it's actually kind of a problem, because if you don't know and you leave it on and someone gets to your phone, it's super easy for them to break into your phone, which is kind of unfortunate. That might even be all we have to cover for that. There was some other security issues, though, wasn't there?
There was the battery life issue.
Battery life issue, right.
I was reading on Twitter today that there's a lot of issues with the battery life. We looked up, apparently it is an issue. So some users, not all users, it's not a widespread thing, but some users are experiencing extreme battery drain. I've also read that even another select group of users, once their battery hits 20%, their phone just turns off. Says out of battery, out of power, and turns off whenever it's at 20%. So that's a pretty frustrating.
It's kind of crazy because some of these things are like how did QA not pick that up? Like the button thing on the main menu. Like, that's one of the first things you ever trying to do with security violations is what menu can I get to? Okay, now I'm here. What are all the different functions I could possibly do that might give me higher rights access to anything? Like, how that's like step 1 and 2 of testing security violations for software. How did you not catch that? That one's a little bit crazy. The battery thing, maybe they should have tested on more phones, or maybe they should have tested on used phones a little bit, because I'm wondering if this is maybe a used phone issue.
Maybe.
Or like it's just older models or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't read what actual models. It just said those upgrading, which I believe the 4S, the 4, as far as I know, can get iOS 7.
Right, yeah.
I imagine the 3GS can't, but phones from Apple should be able to.
And that's quite old at that point, realistically.
Very old, yeah.
So you're getting to a point where it might not even be like good to upgrade your phone at that point, because you're just like throwing way too much stuff at this old piece of hardware, which is probably just not a good idea. To jump back to CyanogenMod, sorry, one quick second. They're also planning on rebranding themselves. Now, this is kind of a big deal in my mind, because when you're a huge group like this and you already have established your name, it's interesting to rename.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, one of the advantages that they have is they're a mobile company. So if they rename themselves, they'll be all over mobile news, which is like one of the biggest news buzzy things there is right now.
Absolutely.
So even if they have to rename themselves, they're probably fine. So it's probably not that big of a deal, but I hope they don't rename themselves to something completely off the wall and different. What I hope that they do personally, which I don't know, there might be some other company named this or something, but I hope they just go with like Cyano or something so that it's close and still super recognizable for the people that are following it right now and not scary, because CyanogenMod, if you say that to someone who's not super techie, that kind of sounds scary. Like
Sounds hardcore.
Yeah, it's hardcore. It's
Even
aggressive.
if you are techie, it sounds hardcore.
Yeah, it's like sweet CyanogenMod. Yeah, but like Cyano doesn't sound hardcore or aggressive, but still references to their previous name. So personally, or CyanoS. Wait, is that what they're actually naming it?
I heard that rumor. I didn't want to, because I think that's a rumor, but he could be very well correct. Is that Apple fanboy? That's funny coming from Apple fanboy. But I heard that. I did see that on the internets today, but I have no idea if there's a shred of truth to that or not.
Okay, I haven't seen any updates about that, but CyanoS would be perfect, because then you still have Cyano, and you just add an S on it, and then it's still very recognizable.
It's easier to say.
It's just, that's kind of awesome. So hopefully they go with that. I just want it to still be recognizable.
Yeah.
That's all I really want it to be. I see quite a few people asking who this is. This is my brother, also known as Cold SC. He's a StarCraft caster, and he's joining us today in lieu of Linus being in Hawaii, because Linus has to be in Hawaii. I don't even really know what else to say about that. I'm going to conference with my mods and try and get them to line up quickly, because anyone who was wondering, the guests for this week will be the mods. So the topics we will have for the mods are all focused around the forum. There's a whole bunch of leaks that I'm going to drop about the forum that Linus wasn't necessarily super happy about, but Linus isn't here this week, and I'm the one that works on the forum along with my mod team and Mr. Wizard and Catman, which no one's necessarily heard of as being part of the team, but will bring in his contribution to the forum in that topic as well. That will start very soon. Hopefully everyone's here. I've notified them that we're going live soon. And just a bunch of other stuff that's going to be happening on the forum in the few months coming up here. Hopefully faster than I'm hoping for, but it could take a little while for all of them. So they're all in very early stages right now, but they're working. Leading up until now, all the stuff that I was going to release is not working. Don't buy the widgets. Stop it. Don't buy the widgets. Those of you that know what I'm talking about, screw you. Don't buy the dang widgets. Okay, so I'm going to call the mod team a little bit early, just because we've pretty much finished up. Do you have any other comments about Cyanogen or iPhone?
I'm sure we'll jump back to it.
We'll
Just
probably,
how it happens.
yeah, it's not surprising at all. So, headphones on. Calling in, don't buy gift cards or widgets. Okay. Calling everybody. We'll see who's all
Hello,
actually
I bought
here.
the widget.
Oh my god. Okay. Who's connecting? We've got Dave, we've got Chris, we've got Dim. Is that true?
Hello, hello.
So the guy who just said hello, hello is Windspeed on the forum. Dave, can you say hi?
Hello.
That's Dave with the smiley face on the forum, which trolls the crap out of our forum search, which is hilarious. If you search for members and type in Dave, he's like the last one, just because of his
That's
smiley
probably
face
what
thing.
broke the forum search.
Probably.
It's all that.
His
Mr. Wizard was right. It's all Dave's fault.
It probably is all
Everything.
Dave's fault. So we are missing some people that will not show up. I think Whaler's here too. Yeah, Whaler's here as well. Oh, is Glenn here? It looks like Glenn's here. So it looks like we're missing Erdino and Mr. Wizard and Catman. So Mr. Wizard is the other admin on the forum. For admins, there's Linus, myself, and Mr. Wizard. And a lot of people are like, who the heck is Mr. Wizard? Mr. Wizard is a buddy of mine that I went to school with that helps a ton with the deep back end of the forum. So installing heavy applications, managing the database, a lot of that kind of stuff is Mr. Wizard. And he is a core part of the reason why we have a forum at all. Then there's Windspeed, who is also a core part of the reason why we have a forum at all, because he has paid for and managed our hosting traditionally. So for a while there, the forum started at the very beginning when no one ever saw it, when Linus and I were planning on even possibly having a forum. I had a forum running PHP BB, which no one else saw except for me. And then Linus was like, you saw it? Yeah. I guess he saw it, good point.
Locally.
Yeah.
In person.
And then Linus came around and was like, we're going to run vBulletin. And that was
Oh
terrible.
God.
That was horrible. But we did it, and Mr. Wizard helped a lot in getting that installed because it was next to impossible. And that ended up actually being, in some ways, a good thing because I found mods who can pretty much deal with any problem we will ever have because they managed to do anything at all in VBulletin. So that's fairly good in that form, but then also terrible because it was horrible. What's up?
We're just getting slammed with lag. I have the stream going. I don't see lag personally, but there's a lot of. Then we have some people saying there's no lag. Just a little concerned. Want to try to keep you guys happy.
Lag.
It's Are we dropping anything? Can't
I
really
don't
see.
think so.
Sorry guys, I didn't mean to kind of like throw a big stop sign there. A lot of people are saying no lag. You know, we might as well keep
We're not
going.
dropping on our side, yeah. Alright, well, we're going to go for now because
Phoenix
quite a few
Revenge
people
thinks
say
it's
it's
CPU
good.
usage.
Definitely. It's all the CPU usage.
Chris, how you going?
So, yeah,
I'm alright.
I don't know where to go from there. Whaler is a big part of the forum. He's the folding leader guy, so if you have any questions about folding, go see him. Dim has been our ninja janitor for as long as I can remember. Dave was actually pretty much the first mod that I recruited, and how I recruited him was in the very, very early days of VBulletin. I didn't have any mods yet, and I looked through a bunch of the people that had a good amount of posts, and I was like, he's a nice person. I'm gonna go with him. And then
It's
I
good
picked
reason
him,
as any.
Spamming them posts.
and it ended up being great actually. And then Glenn was also just a super nice dude. He didn't have way too many posts, and I got a little bit of flack for that when I first recruited Glenn. When people were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you picked a mod that didn't have that many posts, man." And I was like, "Dude, it's not about post count." And he's turned out to also be a pretty epic mod, and we just lost our call.
Well,
We're not lagging there yet. So I'm going to go into topics. If you can jump, and we're still recording, if you can jump to the doc real quick. So the first one is HTTPS is now on the forum. So anyone that browses from a like a hotspot of some sort or a coffee shop or something like that, your login information and stuff like that is secure now. So that was a problem before. There's not that many other tech sites that have this, but when we started getting people asking like, hey, I browsed the forum from school, or I browsed the forum from a cafe, and I'm worried about stuff like my login getting leaked, we decided to implement it. And there's also some other stuff coming in. Video's lagging.
getting a lot of comments on the lag.
A lot of video lagging.
Is B-roll around?
B-roll, I think, is around. It's not lagging here.
See, there you go.
Oh, it is lagging here.
A little bit of shuddering.
Is the audio still fine? If audio is still fine, we're just going to keep powering through. So, sorry about that, guys, but we're just going to keep powering through. So, we have HTTPS now on the forum. And now, another reason, what really spurred us to get it was the vulnerability on hotspots. But another reason why we had to get it and why we've been looking into getting it for a while, we just pushed it out a little bit earlier because of the hotspot problems, was that we have now installed something called IP.Nexus, which is a part of the Envision Power Services suite, which allows us to have a store. Now we can sell Linus Tech Tips merchandise through this, we can sell things that we've reviewed through this, and another thing that we can do is implement the classified section, which we've been working on for a long time. And the classified section will allow users to BST, buy, sell, trade. You will be able to set up your own sales page, basically, and we're going to try and have a reputation thing built in where people can review sellers, so they can be like, oh yeah, it showed up on time, it was in great condition, blah, 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 blah. 5 stars, whatever. We're going to try and have some system like that in place. I'm not sure exactly how that'll work, but basically, buy, sell, trade is coming to the forum,
How
and
cool
it will
is
be
that?
encrypted.
Buy, sell, trade
Buy,
for a
sell,
bunch
trade,
of tech guys.
and a classified section. So a lot of websites have a buy, sell, trade forum section,
Mhm.
but we want you to be able to actually set up what looks more like an ad page. So you can show off the product a little bit better and all that kind of stuff. So that,
I just sold a case off Craigslist.
yeah,
The experience could have been better.
It
you know,
could've.
it wasn't
And-
terrible, but
and-
something like this
Yeah.
would be an excellent way to do it.
and
you
we
know?
want to, yeah, and to add to that experience that you could have had, hopefully, if you sold it through our website,
Mhm.
is there will hopefully be reputation system, so you won't be selling to some random dude. So the reputation system goes both ways. The guy that's buying it from you, you can see his forum account. It's tying in directly with our forum. So you can see all of his previous posts. If he's a big troll, maybe don't sell to him.
Yeah.
So then you wouldn't have to worry about that when you were buying off of, or selling off of Craigslist.
You can just get a glimpse into their character, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Then if you're like, oh, this isn't someone that I really want to trust to send me money, but once they get this thing, or however you guys end up doing that, yeah, it'll be better that way. Are we getting audio lag now? Nope. Audio's fine. Okay, we're going to keep trucking on. So, Classifieds is pretty awesome. And we've been working on Classifieds in Nexus for a while, and it's finally installed and finally working. Now, can I get you to bring up the image linked in that section in the doc? Boom, right there. And then maybe zoom in a wee bit. Nope, that should be fine, actually. So, we have another little leak to come out. This will probably lag a little bit, but it's a static image, so it should probably be fine. So I'm going to switch to it now, and then hopefully the video will catch up at some point, at least a little bit, and then you guys will be able to see it. I'm actually going to try and move this out of the way so people can see better. There we go. So the video will hopefully catch up soon. This is a still shot image of the theme that we're going to be using on the forum. I see a few people going, whoa, yeah, this is the theme coming up. This is what I'm going to be calling the new Linus Tech Tips Day theme. We are also going to be working on a new Linus Tech Tips Night theme, and if I can push Catman to do it, I'm going to try and have mirrors of these themes on mobile. So we'll have a day and night orange and gray and black theme on mobile as well. We've been asked for this on the forum for a long time.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
We've been asked, like, people have wanted this for a long time because we've had stock theme and we look just like a lot of other sites that are out there that have the stock IPS theme. So yeah, it's, in my opinion, looks fantastic. The banner image along the top, not the logo, but the image along the top will very likely change. That's just a filler image for now, but everything else is pretty much going to stay the same. Other than that, it'll be very minor changes that you probably won't notice.
I think you were saying it could be a dynamic as well. It could change constantly.
I don't think
Maybe.
it'll be like a slideshow change.
But like every
But we can change
day, week.
Sure, yeah. And we might be doing that. It might be like relevant to new products that are coming out. It might be relevant to certain brands. It might be relevant to whatever. It's very simple to change, so I can change it on the fly.
Did we get the callback?
I think we did get the callback, actually. I think there's some problems. I think we might have one or two guys here, but there's some problems.
We got somebody. I can hear somebody.
Yeah, we're having some problems with the call, so sorry about that, guys. And I think we might still be having some problems.
Someone said Day 9 sent them here.
Did they?
That would be awesome, although I
Because
doubt
the
it
Day
is
9
true.
shirt? I've worn this shirt on stream so many times and he's never sent people before. Anyways, for the Day 9 viewers, this is Cold SC on Twitter. He does StarCraft stuff, so follow him if you want to see more stuff from him. And we are currently showing off the... viewing some other webpage again.
I'm so
Just
terrible.
too excited to
I'm
see
sorry.
Day 9 stuff.
I'm sorry.
This is the
you know,
new
people
theme
were
for
actually
Forum.
asking if I stole your shirt.
No, he actually got me this shirt for Christmas. So, props to him.
Not this shirt, your shirt.
Well, yeah.
There's two of the
There's
shirts.
two. He has his own shirt, if that was the part that people didn't understand. But yeah, I got the shirt because he bought two of the shirt and gave me one of them. So that was actually pretty awesome. It's one of my favorite shirts.
People are saying Day 9. That can't be true.
I think it must be. Let's see for one quick second. I'm actually so
goodness.
stoked because we're both really, really big fans.
Huge. I turned into a 14-year-old little girl at Day 9.
We
walk
at
in the
PAX
room.
2 years ago. At PAX 2 years ago, we went to the Red Bull LAN, and we got to meet Day 9 at the Red Bull LAN, and that was probably one of the coolest experiences ever.
Absolutely.
If you haven't met Day 9 yet, he, like, when I ever go out and meet, like, members of the community, I try to be as cool as he is. And I never make it, but I try as bad as I can, as hard as I can, I mean, because he's just the coolest dude ever. He's super chill, and he will always make you feel invited and just generally just a good experience. Like you were describing that thing that he does when you walk up to people.
Yeah, it's I like to watch people's body language. And someone even commented that I'm not moving much. It's because I'm totally nervous right now. And all of my casting, I don't have a camera. So I love casting StarCraft. I love talking about StarCraft. no one is looking at me. So it's kind of, it's a little bit different. But I'll try to start being a little more natural because I'm like you. We're both hand talkers.
Fluid.
But now I'm
hand
scared,
talky.
so I'm kind of sitting here not moving much. But he would, when people would walk up to him, they had to kind of cross a gap, and they would walk, and you're kind of when you walk up, it's hard to describe. But I've always watched people.
It makes an awkward space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You walk up, and there's kind of that engagement. What Day 9 would do is he would step, or Sean, we're not on first name basis
Oh,
quite yet,
Sean.
but Mr.
Oh, yes.
Day 9
Sean Plot.
would he would take a step to the right, and then that person would kind of naturally, and just it doesn't sound like much, but you have to try it. It's something you have to try.
It resets
It
the
just
floor.
resets the angle. It resets the focus.
Yeah.
And it really feels like he's engaging you, and he is my favorite celebrity. Period.
Oh yeah,
Out of-
I would totally be down for that. I've worn his shirts before. Everyone's seen
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff. So you can check him out, as I'm sure most of you know, due to the fact that you were sent over here at, I believe, twitch.tv/day9tv. I think you just go to day9tv, day9.tv.
I always go from a link. I'm trying to remember right now. I actually just watched pretty well every episode of all his Hearthstone stuff, which was really
yeah.
cool. All on YouTube. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see it live, but I did watch it all on.
Day9! How's it going? That's so cool. Damn. Okay. We have to keep talking about stuff and stop fanboying over Day9, even though I just kind of want to sit here and fanboy over Day9.
I'm gonna change colors.
It's gonna completely red. Anyways, thanks for showing up, Day9. That's actually freaking cool. There we go. Day9.tv. You can get to his website there. Just totally legit guy, and he's apparently in the chat. So there we go. Yeah, that brings this website up, and you can find the stream really, really easily.
My
through there.
Twitter picture, for those of you who are checking out my... You know what? Okay, I'm fine. It's been on my screen for so long. I'll show you anyways.
Yeah.
My Twitter picture is still Day9 and I. That is one of my favorite pictures, and it has been my picture since I met him at Red Bull LAN. Not this PAX, but the PAX before.
Yep. So 2 PAXs ago, basically.
You know what? Any actor could walk in the room, and I really wouldn't care that much. But
Yeah, no.
my little
Not really.
14-year-old girl heart is racing because Day9 said something.
Okay, so I guess we're supposed to get on with the show now.
I guess.
I'm
I'm just watching the chat like a hawk. Looking
trying to do the StarCraft thing.
the Sept son.
Sup, son? We can fusion core dance.
Oh, fusion cord. You got it. It's not. Yeah, you go. Whoa, no.
You gotta wave a little bit.
That's bad. All right, we'll be okay.
What was that?
That was water.
But
it's a
see,
wave.
on one of his streams, he dropped chocolate milk into his pants, and the stream had to go on. So we dropped water on the floor.
The
but
stream
the stream
has to
must
go
go
on.
on. So the one last thing to bring up about the website that I can't show you guys really is a lot of different tech websites. You'll notice once you go to the website, you get a landing page that has recent videos. Well, what we're going to have is recent videos that we have released, and just recent news topics, recent trending topics on the forum. We hope to have all that kind of stuff on a landing page at the very beginning, and then from there you can navigate to the forum. So you guys will still be able to bookmark or put little widgets where you can get to the forum directly, or have it redirect on your own end, but we will have the homepage eventually as a landing page instead of the forum, and you'll be able to easily navigate there. But that is probably the farthest thing away from being complete, because we need to get some stylized stuff going on. So Mr. Wizard's got a lot of work to do because he's really good at PHP, so we're going to have him work on the PHP side of things and hopefully get all that done as soon as possible. But like I said, it is going to take a while. Now this segment was supposed to take a lot longer, but we were having some problems with lags, and the call with our mods got completely killed. So
Yeah. That's okay.
I'm sorry, mods. But I guess I can't actually talk to you guys. Let's see if they've said anything in our little conversation. Doesn't look like it. Sorry, guys. If you want to hit up the mods on the forum, there's quite a few of them. It's really easy to find. It's like join. Works fine. Okay, I'm going to join back, see if we can talk to them. Hello, everybody.
I'm still freaking out that Day9 said something.
Can you guys hear him?
I can't hear anything.
I can't hear anything either, and then it just closed again. So it's actually not working on our end, guys. Sorry about that. Can I mod day 9? I would be completely down to mod day 9, but I don't think I'm logged in under anything. Let's go. Twitch TV.
I haven't seen him say anything. He might.
Might not be here anymore or something. We're not really sure.
He does do about 1 million things. He is a man that
does.
completely avoids sleep due to the fact that it is unproductive for esports. He is that kind of individual. He has more inner strength than
Day 9 White
I
Knight
could.
for esports. I have no logins here to mod day 9, but on my channel I would and probably will, but he probably won't show up there because I am small. Anyways, but we're going to jump down into more topics. Again, sorry that we couldn't really get the mod team on here. We are having a lot of problems with our communications setup. It is very new and having some problems with our internet, I think, but we will make it through. My laptop's going to die, but I can fix that problem quite quickly.
Boom.
Alright, so the next topic, if you can bring it up, is damages at Hynix DRAM plant are actually quite serious. We talked about this last live stream, and it wasn't really that big of a deal we thought at the time. And in my opinion, it's still not as big of a deal as, say, the hard drive problems we had not that long ago. The hard drive shortages were pretty drastic, and it made hard drives cost an insane amount of money. And for a long time there, people were legitimately putting off builds because they didn't want to pay the ludicrous prices for hard drives at the time. I don't think that's quite going to happen with RAM. I'm sure the price will go up, but I just don't think it will be as monstrously insane as the hard drive prices were when all that was going on. So, yeah, it is definitely a problem. But another thing that was pretty cool is they had a special Gemini architecture with the building. So basically what happened was each one of the clean rooms and everything, different facilities operated independently. So the ones that were damaged, and the ones that were completely left alone are fine. Mm-hmm. So not the whole plant is down. They're shipping in a whole bunch of professionals and engineers and all this other kind of stuff to investigate the plant and figure out everything that's wrong. And that'll probably take at least the next 2 months, which they'll lose a huge amount of production. So we'll see those RAM prices probably start to increase from there.
If I can just jump in about fire, because I have a little bit of a connection there. You're sporting the shirt, but it's to say that they're sending in guys to assess the damage. That always sounds kind of hokey unless you understand. Like, I have no idea how the plant was built, but just knowing how it can spread through floors, through eaves. Obviously, there's probably not a ton of wood. But the fact is, steel can heat to the point where it can ignite things in other rooms. It's been proven. I watched a video recently on just heating a steel rod. The heat went through the rod into another room and lit a couch on fire because it was touching it. Just because of how heat can conduct. But when they say they need to assess the damage after a big fire, that is a factual statement. It's incredibly hard to do something like that, especially on a large scale.
And they have to do it on a completely different level almost because they have clean rooms. Mm-hmm. So they have to make sure there's a maximum amount of particles you can have in a room to be able to call it a clean room.
That's a whole nother level.
Like, I mean, particles in the air. So.
Yeah.
So like, oh, that's ridiculous. So there's going to be an insane amount of investigation that has to go on. That's why they're saying for the next 2 months probably. And then from there, they might get production going on in part of the plant, but not the whole plant. But again, I don't think this is going to be on the scale of the hard drive crisis because it's still not the same amount. We are going to do a Twitter Blitz soon. Not quite yet. We're going to do one more topic and then we're going to do a Twitter Blitz. So you guys can ask us about whatever you want. Tweet me at SlickPC and we will hit up the Twitter Blitz. That's going to be right after the next topic. And we're going to jump down to that right now. So ADATA showed off a picture of 32 gigabytes of DDR4, but not really. There was some interesting stuff going on. They worded it in a very odd way. But what it actually was 32 gigabytes on a single stick, super tall one, by the way. It was massive. Of DDR3L, which is DDR3 low voltage. So as you guys can see there, if you go back up to the RAM stick, it's huge. The thing's giant. It's like a Dominator, maybe even a little bit bigger.
You know what? I would say it's probably even bigger.
Probably even bigger than a Dominator. And those are huge already. So that's pretty.
The DDR3 Dominators, of course.
Yeah,
that's what we're referring to, not the DDR.
Not the boss mode DDR2 Dominators
that we both rocked.
Yeah. Anyways, so what they said was 32 gigabytes on a single module, and that's not all. We will see modules that will go up to 128 gigabytes in the near future. DDR4 is here. that sounds like they're talking about DDR4 in the photo, which is why there was so much confusion. But what they were trying to say is, look, 32 gigabytes on a single module. Things will be getting exciting in the future with DDR4 once that becomes a thing, because we can see stuff around 128 gigabytes. They're talking about two separate things.
Yeah.
They're saying, look what we can do now. This is what we're probably going to be able to do in the future with two separate things, completely separate things. So, like, there was a lot of controversy about that, a lot of confusion. On our forum alone, it got 3 pages worth of comments, and on the Facebook page, it got a huge amount of comments. So, just wanted to point that out. Another cool tidbit to take away from that is 128 gigabytes of RAM on a freaking stick.
Sorry, I got to remember to move. I'm still in my
crap.
nervous
No,
state. But
it's
yes,
cool.
that's. I remember when you first showed this to me. We were actually talking about that's incredible. You know, that is that's so many times what you could ever need. You know, unless you're running half a dozen virtual machines.
Yeah.
You know, or something to that aspect. But it's just showing you where we can go and where
Definitely.
our limits aren't, if that makes any sense.
Sorry?
You know, showing us where our limits are not.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. You'll
showing,
never need more than whatever that number was of RAM. I already don't remember.
Exactly.
It's like 64 kilobytes or something ridiculous.
back in the day, yeah.
Dude, 128 gigs.
On a stick.
Yeah.
A stick.
And like, okay, maybe this isn't super consumer focused necessarily, but it's still awesome because at some point in time we will need this.
Exactly, but everything that starts elite, that starts business class,
Eventually will trickle
moves
down.
into consumer.
And, like,
it always happens.
A lot of people are only using about 6 gigs of RAM now.
Yeah, I'd say that's a very
At like
good estimate.
fairly heavy usage, 6 gigs of RAM is a thing, but it'll always increase.
Mhm.
So the fact that we will have that available is awesome. And stuff like Haswell IVE.
Yep.
Nope, Haswell E. There we go. Haswell E coming out, rumors and stuff. 8 cores and 8 DIMM slots with 128 gigs in each DIMM slot. Boom!
It's like 1.5 billion gigs, I think.
It's probably somewhere right around a billion and a half gigs. It's just ridiculous. So we're basically unlocking limits, which is just fantastic because right there you're getting away from anything you could ever need until you get into things like Knight's Corner, which I haven't heard a lot about in a long time. But come on, Intel, tell me more about Knight's Corner. I'm not even going to explain that any further. We're going to jump into Twitter Blitz before we get into the depressing topic of the day. So hopefully people tweeted me, or else this is going to be super anticlimactic. Looks like they did.
I'm willing to bet they did.
So if we go to Twitter Blitz. Did you know that Samsung is making the iPhone A7 processor? Funny, Samsung being one of their main competitors. You actually pointed this out to me. And he asked, guess who's making the A7 processor? And I guessed it, but just because I thought that would be hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I necessarily even thought it would be true. And I was thinking, like, okay, who could make this? It's not Intel. So who else is it, right?
The thing is, and the article that I was reading stated it very well, is it's hard to find someone who can produce that kind of technology on that kind of scale. It's not like you can be like, well, I don't like you. I'm going to go down to Bob's Hardware and, get Bob to do it.
Just buy a few chips, no big deal.
I haven't talked to Bob since, like, the 2011 Christmas party, but I'm sure we can... bro fist it up and he'll make me... It doesn't work like that.
He's one of those people where you could, even if you haven't met each other for a long time, it's still instant click again.
Yeah, it's
Nothing's
just,
ever
good.
changed.
There's
He's
no
always
drama.
the same guy. Been the same since grade 12.
Exactly.
No big deal. Anyways, that made no sense at all. But, yeah, so...
It does, though, with the core point being that you don't have options. And even if you guys are suing each other, a dozen lawsuits at a time, they still work together, which is...
And both companies must have looked... The Samsung looks at this and goes, here's a huge part of profit that we can make.
Yeah.
We made this processor. We can give it to them. Their market share is not going to go down if we don't do this.
Exactly.
Because even though there isn't a lot of options, they'll find something.
Out of necessity, they would.
Yeah. So make a ton of money or don't make a ton of money, and there's not much else going on there. Like, they might have lost a little bit more market share, but it wouldn't have been that significant compared to them being able to sell the chip to them.
And even they might lose a minute amount of share, but they're just gaining cash. They don't have to market these chips.
Not at all.
All they're doing is just mass producing, mass shipping them. They set their price. Obviously, I don't know the exact numbers.
Yeah.
But something like that doesn't take nearly the same risks as something you're going to produce and then try and sell.
Yeah.
Take the S3, the S4. Even though those sold incredibly, the Note 3, that's going to sell very well too.
Oh, of course.
It's not a technical guarantee. Or if I go, hey Luke, I'm going to go to you. I need 1,000,000 of these, probably more. But let's say, I need 1,000,000 of these chips.
Sure.
And you come back with a price. That's such a linear trade.
Yeah.
That it's such a business smart and easy decision that they could never pass something like that up.
Yeah, so it's smart on both sides. Apple got a great chip. The A7 is a great chip, and Samsung made a whole bunch of money. So like it makes sense. And while these companies are huge, that's another thing you have to realize. So while part of them might be competing with another company, it's not necessary that the whole company is competing at the same time. So like their division that's making processors isn't necessarily competing with Apple.
That makes
the
a lot
mobile
of sense.
division is.
Yeah.
So the mobile division might be more reluctant to share things, but the other part might not be. So it's just kind of interesting.
That's a good point.
Who's your favorite Dota hero? I'm going to scroll down to this one. This is kind of random, but who's your favorite Dota hero? I think I know. The Storm
I've only played
Sniper?
a couple of games.
Dwarven
Yeah, I've
Sniper?
only really played the sniper. So.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. I like Dwarven Sniper too, but I'm going to go with Drow Ranger. That was a little bit more random. Clark Martin, it's his birthday, so shout out to you, man.
Happy birthday, dude.
Happy birthday.
I like his picture.
Me too. It's pretty awesome. Large capacity RAM versus low cast latency RAM for gaming. I'm actually going to be releasing a video very soon where I'm benchmarking cast latency and timing differences on RAM. Now they're all 8 gig modules. It's actually the same kit. I'm just changing latencies and timings. And then we're going to show that performance compared to cost of a stick of RAM that has those specs. So I took a really, really high-end stick of RAM and I turned the settings way down and then incrementally turned the settings up. And then we're going to show cost per performance for that kind of RAM. And it's an interesting story. I can already tell you what it's going to be. It's not really worth buying super high performance RAM because you do gain performance, but it's a very low amount of performance that you're gaining. So
Is it noticeable is the question we got to start asking ourselves,
yeah, not really.
Yeah.
The moral of the story is probably buy a 1600 kit, and then there you go, because that's kind of the sweet spot. Although you'll be able to decide your own sweet spot once we're there. I just scrolled
And it's
way
really,
high up.
Linus and yourself are huge hardware buffs. I love computer hardware, but I'm not on the same level as you guys as hardware buffs. I'm a little bit more, I guess, blue collar, which I'm sure some of your viewers are as well. And for me, something like a 1600 for RAM is perfect because the bang for your buck is just, it's there. You can get it for a great price. It works great for whatever you're doing. As long as you get, get an 8 gig pack. I happen to have 16, but that's overkill. To be completely honest, it is. For what I use it for, it is. Is it nice? Does it look good? Hell yeah. But is it technically over and above what I need? Yes. And I just think RAM, especially with something like RAM, that's where you can save a little bit of money, and get an 8 gig kit, and you can be set. Of course, if you want to do more than that,
It's possible, and then even then you can buy like Dominators, low end Dominator Platinums are not that expensive. Like they're not that bad,
And they look
as long as you go low enough.
amazing.
And they look freaking incredible.
Oh,
You can instantly
wow.
make your build look so much better
Yeah.
by throwing in some Dominators or throwing in some other RAM that looks sharp. Like I know Corsair LPs.
Yeah.
Look great because they're low profile RAM with a solid color, so they can just very easily go along with any color build you want to do, which is awesome.
I think we're going to get in some builds later, eh?
Sorry?
Off the forums? Look
Yep.
at some builds off the
Yep.
forums later.
Oh,
Maybe. Maybe not.
I forgot to make that PowerPoint, but we can
We can
figure.
just go look.
Yeah, we can just go look on the.
That's what I do from time to time.
Yeah,
I don't post that much on the forums, but I do tend to look at build logs.
build logs is like.
I find that's where I spend the most of my time. I can do that on my phone at work, so
Yeah.
you can just
Yeah.
look through and like, oh, pretty. Oh,
That
pretty.
looks really nice.
Oh, that's nice.
I like what you did there. That's pretty good. Yeah. So I don't know. That's pretty cool. Will there be an app coming out for the forum? I know I've been sitting on this one for a while. Probably not. What
You have a mobile version, correct?
We have a mobile version, and it's pretty good. And an app, there's no merit in that. An app would be better because an app you could have preloaded assets, so like our logo and all that kind of stuff could be preloaded, so it could load things faster, and it could use less bandwidth, which is another thing. So like there is definitely merit in that question.
That's
but
true.
It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge amount of work. So Yes, Tapatalk. We do have Tapatalk enabled on the forum, which is kind of an app for the thing. Not really, but it is pretty good. So you can try that out. I would check out Tapatalk if you really want an app. But yeah, if it comes, it won't be for like at least a year or two. And then even then, probably not, because we have so many other big things we want to focus on. Earlier in this cast, we talked about how we're doing HTTPS, IP Nexus, classifieds, the new theme, content, which is going to be the new homepage, like all that kind of stuff. We have huge projects that we're working on the forum literally every single day that we want to get done. All of these ideas and all of these projects, including other ones that we haven't talked about at all, before we would even start thinking about a mobile app. So I don't know. That's all I have to say about that.
I have to agree with all of that.
Yeah.
That's kind of a boring answer.
Oh, yeah,
but
but
it's you guys are constantly progressing, constantly looking at what everyone is asking of you, and trying to go down that path. So it's constantly evolving, and it's great to see. Anyone who's used the forum since the very beginning realizes this. You know that it's been a constant growth from day one.
I was streaming the other day, and Windspeed was watching my stream. Windspeed's one of my forum mods.
Yeah.
And someone was like, hey, it would be really cool if we could have, like, X-Fire tags on the forum.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I think I've seen a hook about that. And I was, like, talking for it a little bit, and Windspeed was just like, it's done. Just like, boom.
Wind speed.
Yeah, that was pretty fast.
You have some boss forum mods, that's
I know.
for sure.
It's kind of, I got pretty lucky, to be honest. They're pretty epic. I'm really, really, really picky about my forum mods. But, like, that just shows the agility that we've had with the forum. We've moved as quickly as we possibly can at all points in time. We had PHP-VB, and then we had to install VB. And then we were like, nope, this sucks. And then we installed IPS.
Yep.
And then IPS came in, and then we were like, hook. Different add-on. Okay, people want classifieds. Okay, work on this. Classifieds isn't really secure. Logins aren't really secure. Fix that. Blah, 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 blah.
Well, and at that time, you're talking about when you're switching with VBolt and all that stuff, your stream was in a garage, and it wasn't the best lighting setup. Like, this lighting setup is gorgeous. This room is gorgeous. Everything is constantly getting better week by week by week. And
yeah.
perhaps enough patting on the back. Maybe back to Twitter.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, back to Twitter. SamDB, he's asking if he can get a birthday shout out. I thought your birthday already came and went, but either way, happy birthday, man.
Sorry, which one is that? I missed
SamDB, also known as just Sam.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Yeah, right at the top.
Yeah,
there.
with the awesome picture there.
Yeah. Streams low volume. Sorry, bro. Play StarCraft against each other in the after party. I'm not quite sure how we could stream that. I think we could.
I'm not sure how entertaining that
You'd
would actually
crush
be.
me.
We would both be. Well, we'd both be just focused on what's going on, and
Yeah. Well, I'd still
maybe we
talk
could
a
set
lot.
that up for some time.
Sure.
Or maybe we can set up like viewers verse and I'll cast
Maybe
it
we
or
should do
something.
viewers first.
Something. We'll figure something.
We
out.
could even have viewers versus with like you and me versus viewers or something.
Something.
But I don't think it would be that entertaining for us two because he knows exactly what I'm gonna do, and not even because of that, he's just way better than me in general. So those two combinations where I'm
You
not
only
gonna
do
change
one
my
thing.
strategy because I only do one thing, and that he's way better than me in general is a bad combination, meaning I lose. So it might not be too eventful.
Maybe some Hearthstone. That's cool right now.
We
Or
could do
maybe some
Hearthstone.
Counter-Strike.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff we can do on the after party. There is going to be an after party. The after party will be twitch.tv/Luke_LAFR.
We gotta go to your place.
Yeah.
It shouldn't
take that long.
Yeah, we'll be up
We're pretty
quick.
close.
We'll be up pretty quick.
Did you check out the Star Citizen Hangar module? Guys, if you backed Star Citizen, get on that. Go to the website, download the Hangar module. Holy crap, it's freaking cool. You can check out the ship that you have because you backed. Hopefully you have a ship because you backed. And it's really nice. They don't have a ton of graphics settings yet that are available. They don't have AA. They don't have like a bunch of other stuff, but like check it out. It's fantastic. This is largely going to be driven by me, but Linus is also a huge fan of Star Citizen, so he's not against this idea when I proposed it at all. But what I want to do is have benchmark runs for every iteration of Star Citizen. So soon, I'm like halfway done running it actually. And because Linus is away, I might actually just film the whole thing myself. But I'm going to have benchmark stuff for the Hangar module. And then when dogfighting comes out, I'm going to have a benchmarking video for dogfighting. And then whenever the heck comes out after that, I'm going to have a benchmarking video for that. And I'm going to try and have benchmarking videos along the way, which they may not be super accurate with how hard it's going to be to run the game when it's out. But the game's not out for a really long time, and we think it would be interesting to show the progression of the game.
That too. It's kind of an iconic game right now.
Yeah.
You know, so it might not have 100% of the value as maybe another benchmarking game.
Yeah.
But it also has the value that everyone is watching this. Everyone's following it. How many Star Citizen shirts did we see
Oh
at
my
PAX?
God.
Not including your own.
Yeah.
It's just iconic. You know,
That-
that's the best way to summarize everything I want to say.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, a lot of eyes are on this project.
For sure, and like with the amount of people that are backing it, it's going to define a part in gaming history. Like
Yeah.
just with the amount of money that's been spent on it, with the scope of this project, and the amount of people that are into this game, like it doesn't matter if you ignore it. It's going to be huge.
Yeah.
So we might as well try and track it as best as we can. That being said, it's not like we're not going to have... I'm going to have a benchmarking video for Battlefield 4. I can give you that right now. I'm probably going to have a benchmarking video for GTA 5 whenever the heck it finally comes out for PC. Make it fast. And like, I'm going to keep on covering all this stuff. Just I also want to have all the iterations of Star Citizen along the way.
Mm-hmm.
We're not really blitzing this Twitter. We're spending a little bit of time on it, but oh well.
This is a siege, a Twitter siege.
Twitter siege.
Just-
We will break down the walls, but it might take a little while. I've used Windows all my life. I've dabbled in Ubuntu, but I couldn't get past installing drivers. What's a good way to learn Linux? There's tons of different videos online. I'm surprised you had problems with drivers, actually, because a lot of them just use general Linux drivers. So with Ubuntu, as long as you can get an internet connection, it shouldn't be that hard, really. Now, that being said, of course there's problems. So if you have problems with a core driver, that's really unfortunate. But I can't think of any websites off the top of my head, but there's tons of them. I just can't think of them right now. I have them bookmarked. That can help you with this kind of stuff. But one of the first things, install your drivers. Make sure everything works. And then try and go in and install all the programs that you want. Try to do it manually through command line. That will teach you very quickly. And start trying to navigate through folders and everything through command line, because that will teach you a lot very quickly. Or if you just want to be a casual user, once you get those drivers installed, there's not much left to do. They have their own little version of an app store and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I've never had driver issues with Ubuntu either. I've actually never had a single driver not automatically detect and install itself. But there's obviously potential for problems, so that's quite unfortunate. What do I think of this Shine 3? Shine 3 is pretty epic. Fade Reactive is like
Yeah.
the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, for sure.
So what Fade Reactive is reactive mode on a keyboard is when you're typing and it lights up when you press down. The problem with that is the second you let go, the light goes away. So it doesn't really do much, even though
It's just
kind
too
of cool.
quick.
Yeah, it's too quick. So Fade Reactive is it puts a fade on the light. So it turns the light on and then it fades away instead of just turning off.
Super cool.
So it gives this really cool effect, especially if you type really quickly. So that's awesome. And like realistically, once you get past a certain point, you're looking at build quality and features.
Mm-hmm.
So while that might not seem like a super big deal to some people,
That's what you're looking at when you're
another feature.
purchasing a Ducky or a Philco
Yeah,
or
you're looking at
something
features.
like that. Yeah, absolutely. I wish my Year of the Dragon had the fade away.
Yeah,
You know, that would be awesome.
That
But I
would
still
be
love
awesome.
it. But
yeah. So yeah, if no one caught that, he has a Year of the Dragon, which is pretty badass. Bottlenecking is a really weird
I
concept.
actually saw that tweet while you were talking, and there's just not enough information there. I feel.
I would post your entire system spec on the forum, and then try and get people to help you, because I'm assuming you're trying to squeeze more frames out in video games. But like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to render videos? Are you trying to play video games? Because it's different depending on what you're doing.
Or do you just want a quicker interaction with your computer? You
Yeah,
know,
or
something
like-
you know,
yeah.
like you want Windows quicker, your Chrome, or you know, your email stuff like that. Then I would say, well, don't worry about those stats. You know, grab an SSD or something like. Or does he have an SSD?
I don't know. So post all your specs on the forum and try and get help there. Someone asked what I'm running in Star Citizen for packages. I have a Hornet and a Drake Cutlass. Hybrid drive versus SSD cache for gaming and light work.
I'm interested in this. I'm going to sit back just like everyone watching right now. I'm interested on this question.
It's interesting. You're going to spend more money with an SSD cache because then you have to buy an SSD and a hard drive. Albeit a small SSD, but still.
Still expensive.
And you'll get a better experience with that, but you're spending more money. So it's like a hybrid drive is, in my opinion, I'm running a hybrid drive in my laptop. I'm running a Momentus XT. Now, I like that because I have a whole bunch of storage. It didn't cost me a ton of money, and it's pretty quick. It's not super fast, but it's fast enough for me. So if you need that speed, I'm assuming you're dealing with a desktop because it's 2 drives. If you need that speed, you can set up that cache. But you're getting into the point where like you might as well spend the 50 extra bucks and then just have a dedicated SSD. So I don't know. I would either go if you're strapped for cache, I would buy a hybrid drive. If you're not strapped for cache, I would buy an SSD and a hard drive and run them separately. And run like your OS and maybe a few core programs on the dedicated SSD and then just a hard drive for storage. So
That's what I do.
yeah. Do we have plans for another build log anytime soon? Yes, Linus will be doing that. How do you feel about the BlackBerry news?
I saw that as well. I don't know the BlackBerry news.
Me neither.
I've been so focused on
Unless
iOS 7, CyanogenMod.
Yeah, unless it's old. This is older BlackBerry news with them like looking to sell themselves.
Oh, is that what?
But
That's kind of older.
Not that new. Yeah, sorry, we're gonna move on. Slick and cold.
Yeah, we got a tweet. Got to give a shout out to Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
How's it going? Slick and cold. Are you still squealing about Day 9 TV noticing you guys?
Just internally.
Just in turn.
Just internally.
No
Just
vocal
internally.
squealing.
Well, I did a little.
No more vocal squealing.
Yes.
Oh, they laid off 40% of their workforce. That's
Oh,
not
really?
to be unexpected, though. Horrible.
That still really sucks, though.
Of course it does, but like
That's a lot of additional people looking for jobs in an
Yeah.
economy that is
not very accepting of that right now. But to be honest, if I was a worker of BlackBerry, I hope they would already be looking.
That too. That's a good point. But
Because there's been a lot of problems there, and like sometimes you got to read the cards. Now, a lot of these people might not be able to get jobs, so that's a huge part of the reason why this sucks. Because there's not very many places to go. But maybe like someone just said, hey, they can maybe join CyanogenMod or CyanoOS or whatever they're now calling themselves. So that's BlackBerry employees in the audience, all 40% of you. Apply to Cyanogen, because that's probably not a bad idea, and you need to move from there, definitely. Do you have something to say?
I feel absolutely blessed. I've had 39 followers today. I'm 1 away from 300.
Boom.
So feeling
300. You got to
feeling blessed.
screenshot 300, because that's kind of a cool number.
That is.
I've screenshotted 57.
1,
No, not 5757. I've screenshotted 1337.
Yeah.
And
I remember that one.
and 57, and I don't know if there was other ones, but yeah, pretty epic. I think we might be able to be done with the Twitter Blitz for now. We've taken a little bit more time than I was hoping to with the Twitter Blitz. So
How
we'll
about
be
one
done with
more?
that.
Because someone tweeted at both of us.
One more. Where's this?
So it's actually. Oh, I'm not sure. I guess we can't pull it up because they tweeted it. They tweeted
You can
36
switch
seconds.
to your-
so go to the
here.
very top.
Boom. Boom.
There we go. Okay, so Amit Nareen, or is it Amit Nareen? I know because I've actually known 2 people with it's spelled AMIT. One was Amit and one was Amit. So I'm not actually sure which one that is. But saying, what do you run in your personal rigs? I run a 3770K with a MSI 660 Ti. I have which I actually got from you for my birthday, which was pretty cool. I got a Samsung 840? No, 890.
Samsung 840 Pro.
840 Pro. It's 840 Pro SSD. And then I have my black and my green Western Digital drives for storage. I think I covered everything. I got 16 gigs of RAM in there.
Basically. Yeah, there's a few more components, but like the main 2 things that really matter, in my opinion, when someone asks your system specs, is like your processor and your graphics card.
Yeah.
For what
yeah.
I'm doing, so like you covered those.
Yeah.
So my like really baseline idea of my system specs, and now these are subject to change. I'm planning on bringing a completely new rig, which I will be doing a build log for and all that kind of stuff for the PAX BYOC LAN next year.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to do it this year, but then I was like, I don't have enough time or finances to get this done properly, and I want to do it properly. So for next year BYOC, I'm planning on having a new rig. But anyways, right now I'm running a 2600K and a Galaxy Super Clocked 660 Ti.
Cool.
Yeah. It does. It kind of. It could get more performance. I would like more performance. But Oh well, what I've recently invested in my computer was actually 4 3 terabyte WD red drives that I put in
Pretty
RAID
awesome.
1, because right now, like I recently purchased an Oculus that's going to show up in October. But right now, without the Oculus running, I can run most games at fairly acceptable settings and fairly acceptable frame rates. Once the Oculus shows up, I'm probably going to have to upgrade my graphics card, because that's so much harder to run. 2600K, I'm not too worried about upgrading. To be
Yeah.
completely honest, I'm quite happy with my 2600K, and I'm pretty sure the bin on my 2600K is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten it to some pretty insane settings, so I like my 2600K, but the graphics card will probably have to change soon.
Now we should come back to Twitter later because I love interacting with Twitter and chat.
Yeah,
we
no,
could,
seriously.
we could never stop. So we need to put a hard period on here. And,
Sure. So we'll
we
move
get
off
back.
for now. And one thing in the after party, we'll try and have a lot of fan interaction during the after party. So now,
That's one thing because I stream a bit too. Obviously, my younger brother here is completely E-famous. You guys love him, which is awesome. He absolutely deserves it. But I try to do that a lot. But it's hard when you have this many people.
Yeah.
Because when I stream, our events, we can get a couple hundred people, and it's a lot of fun. But the chat goes much slower, and it's hard to keep track of this. But do you want to jump into the
depressing
unhappy
topic.
news?
I almost don't really want to cover this, but we kind of have to. So Hiroshi Yamauchi from Nintendo has passed away recently, which is like super depressing. And yeah, I'm gonna go through like a very short history of Nintendo, and I'm gonna tweet out a few different links here so that you guys can see. One of these is a Kotaku link about the Nintendo they tried to forget, which is like Nintendo's weird history and some of the stuff they've done, including making cards and making I think appliances at some point, and a love hotel, which is awkward, a taxi service, toy blocks, noodles. Like, they've made everything. Literally, okay, so Yamauchi took over Nintendo making playing cards in 1989 when his grandfather passed away in they've been making playing cards since 1889. There we go, too many dates.
Yeah.
His grandfather passed away in 1949, and he took over. And then when he took over, he was like, I'm an entrepreneur. I will take this company further. And with his great vision, because he's just such a powerful, crazy guy, he's like the Steve Jobs of Nintendo, because I've heard actually that he was pretty hard on his employees and demanded a lot. But then the same kind of thing, the success you see with Nintendo and the success you see with Apple was just crazy. They both started from fairly moderate beginnings and then just boom, which is just crazy. So
Well, they still made some of the Super Mario Brothers is one of the best games ever.
it still
It's just a ton of fun to play. I know we were playing it. Maybe this was actually a little bit of a while, maybe 5-6 months ago. But we had it set up and we were playing a ton of it.
Yeah. It's still
just
so much fun.
Yeah, just at Mom's house there, and it was it was a ton of fun, just switching the controller back and forth and playing the side scroller. It was
It's
great.
fun.
Yeah.
And like even their super old games, even their new games, they're still fun. And like someone just said, they're comparing it to Gabe Newell for Valve, and like it's
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
It's just the iconic leader of an incredible company that has
Yeah.
made such an impression on you. I'm not necessarily a huge Apple fan myself, but those who enjoy their products hold Steve Jobs to such a high standard
makes
almost,
sense, yeah.
on that kind of pedestal. Gabe is one of those as well. I'm a huge Valve fan. I've got the lanyard,
Yeah.
from the original Half-Life games that just completely took me into Counter-Strike, to all that kind of stuff.
And Counter-Strike was a huge part of our childhood.
Absolutely, Counter-Strike was big. Counter-Strike was a ton of fun. It was always that at that time at least we weren't into StarCraft quite yet, but it was that competitive,
Yep.
edgy, game that you would play that kind of ranks you. How good are you? Jump on Counter-Strike, you die instantly, man. It's so
Yeah,
hard. You
yeah.
jump right, and it was. I remember being in middle school, and it was such a big deal. How hard it was.
I still remember being upstairs in that computer room, and the first day that I was able to get a kill-death ratio that was above 1, I was just like,
Yeah.
yeah!
Look at what I did.
I'm
Look at
the
what I
best!
did.
I'm so good at everything! Yeah, so anyways, he crazy entrepreneur, so he gains control over Nintendo and then decides, okay, I want to try everything. So they try making noodle blocks, they try making noodles, they try making toy blocks, they try a taxi service, and they even try a love hotel, which gets a little bit interesting.
He owned the Mariners.
Yeah. I'll get into that. So, it was finally in 1977 that they decided to get into the video game industry, and one of the best moves he probably ever made was hiring Shigeru Miyamoto. I hope I just said his name correctly, but I'm pretty sure I did. That guy is the dude behind Donkey Kong, Mario, and Zelda, which is basically the dude behind everything. For like so many games that I played when I was younger, so much awesome content that has never really dwindled too much. One thing that's interesting about Nintendo game reviews that I notice is that they always get ranked a little bit lower, and they're like, oh, they lost the vision that they had when they were a younger company, and I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe you have a little bit of correctness when you say that, but at the same time, they have to change things. They have to move forward, and I'm a huge lover of previous Mario games, but the new ones, they have good mechanics.
Yep,
And they're
they do.
bringing in interesting stuff, and I don't think you can hate on them that much just because you have such a desire to play the old games.
It's the exact same thing with music
Yeah.
and bands, that you expect them when they come out of high school and they're making, their kind of edgy stuff to make the exact same material
When
30
they're
years
45,
later,
yeah.
when they have 2 kids, 2
Yeah.
houses, all this kind of... When their world is literally could not be more different, they cannot come out with the exact same stuff. They have to develop and change because they are developing and changing.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't just stay static. They can't come out with a side scroller every year for 20 years. It's just not going to work. And if they try, they would almost be doing shame to what they did have.
They still
that classic.
do, but it's that like it's changed so much.
But exactly.
Yeah,
It is changed, and they have to. Even though I'm one of those guys that I'm like, this brand new Zelda doesn't give me the same feelings that the old one
and
did.
it doesn't for me, but
But that 6-year-old kid,
yeah,
with his Game Boy, playing it away, is doing the exact same thing we did, and he's feeling the exact same way we did, and he's making the same style of memories that we did. So
which is fantastic. And Nintendo's always been like that. So again, I'm super sorry to see this guy go. He stepped down in 2002, and he's one of the richest men in Japan. And one of the funny purchases that he had was he was the owner of the Seattle Mariners, which a lot of people don't know, but that's true. He was the owner of the Seattle Mariners, and he finally sold them in 2004. He's most well known for making the NES popular, because at that point in time, the video game industry had kind of had a crash, and he brought it back with NES, and it's almost seen as the rebirth, or it's quoted here by Aaron Suporis. Suporis. I'm not entirely sure. The Verge's Aaron something, starts with an S, as the catalyst for the rebirth of the video game industry. Which, just imagine that for a second.
Mhm.
We might not have so many games, we might not have this culture that we have now if it wasn't for him pushing the NES as hard as he did. So I'm
well, imagine
very sad.
imagine the SNES flopped.
Yeah. What
Where
would have
would we
happened?
be,
It would be
really?
totally different.
Someone was saying Dreamcast for the win. Dreamcast is awesome, but not enough to create and really push the industry through that early years. The early years is always the hardest. And someone was saying Pokemon. Pokemon was huge. Pokemon was probably a bigger part of our gaming childhood than even Counter-Strike.
Yep.
We both had Red and Blue, and played a ton of it. And if those titles, Final Fantasy VII, if those specific titles didn't happen, where would we be now? It's an interesting idea, but he definitely helped shape where we are now in and esports is now a thing.
Yeah.
And it's only growing. It has never taken a step back, and he
was the catalyst and the
Absolutely.
rebirth of which
Absolutely.
is super cool. And it's just freaking awesome.
If you're big
Everything
into
about that is
computers,
awesome.
video games, they're combined. But even if you're one and not the other, you still have a maybe a moment of silence or something.
Yeah.
Remember this man with respect.
I kind
because,
of did, because I read the article last night
Yeah.
for the third time, because I can't remember exactly when it happened, but after I was finally off work and able to sit down and read the article, I just sat there and was just like, wow, holy crap, that actually just happened. That's such a big momentum change. He stepped down from the company a while ago, but it's still holy cow, this guy's gone, which is just so not cool and so crazy at the same time. So we're going to move on to a less depressing But in my opinion, not super surprising or interesting. But anyways, PlayStation 4 will support video capture via HDMI. PlayStation 3 did not support this.
Pretty cool.
But
We were actually at PAX with, and we were watching a panel, and they were talking about, how can you capture out of a PS3, out of an Xbox. It was a live streaming panel, and it was really interesting. There's a lot of people there with a lot of questions. Obviously, I'm not big into the consoles, but they have to figure out a way for them to stream. Xbox One, PlayStation 4 is going to fix that with stuff like this, capture straight from HDMI. Usually they try and block that. They actually go out of their way to not allow that.
Yeah.
And it seems like PS4, I'm not completely up on the news, but it does seem like they're doing everything they can to appease their customer base. Said, you guys want this, you don't want that, that's what we're doing. I remember the GIF came out, and I don't even know who it was. They were both wearing suits. I believe they were decently high up in PlayStation, and they said, I don't have my phone.
This is how you share games?
Yes. This is how you share games. Yeah. And he was just, why, thank you, sir.
Yeah,
and that's how you share. Just poking fun, obviously, at the Xbox.
It was awesome.
But I really enjoy the angle that PS4 has been taking. At least all the media that I'm seeing on it really seem to show that they respect and listen to their
which is really
base.
cool. And I'm not even interested in buying one until they hopefully release some variation, so like PlayStation Slim or whatever, of any of the new consoles. But it's still kind of cool to see this. But I hate to poke fun at console gamers, but all I really expect to see from this is more 360 no scopes and GTA car crashes on YouTube, which is
I can't
really. Yeah, it's gonna slide.
I can't lift my hands.
But I don't really think it's way too interesting. One thing that I forgot to bring up during the Nintendo article that I saw, someone in chat said Dreamcast was awesome. Dreamcast, they're still releasing games. There's indie groups. Did you know that there's indie groups still releasing games for Dreamcast?
Really?
Because it's such a good platform to develop on.
I had no idea.
It's crazy. They're still releasing games. They're still releasing games for a lot of old consoles, actually. But Dreamcast is one of the most interesting development circles that I could possibly find. The stream might be dead.
No one said anything yet.
No one's saying anything at all yet. Hello?
No one's saying anything.
I'm not
which is
entirely
even weirder.
sure if we're still live. It is live.
It's
okay,
live.
we're good. No, it's not. It's not live. It's fine. It's live. Okay, we're good.
Enough
We're
people
moving
are saying,
forward.
okay, all right.
Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna jump into. I'm gonna skip one topic, so we'll jump back to that autopilot thingy.
Sure.
But what I'm gonna go to right now is Firefly MMO is on the way. Crap. Damn it. Why? Why is this happening? Anyways, to explain why I'm sad about something awesome coming into existence, the description for the Firefly MMO that is on the way is social online role-playing game. If you're looking for other games by that subscription, you would be looking at Farmville and Mafia Wars, and other games of that type.
Yeah.
Do they not, ugh, it hurts my brain to even think about this.
Would you say they understand or do not understand their target audience?
Do not, Fox has no idea who,
They don't even know
they
what
have
news
no clue who they're targeting at. They're trying to make this game, and you know what? I subscribed for it. I was like, yep, I'll jump on that because it's Firefly. I have to jump on it, but it still just drives me crazy. So they have a slated launch for iOS and Android smartphones and tablets during summer of 2014. So that's a thing. It's developed by QMXI and Sparkplug Games. And if you haven't heard of Sparkplug Games, they are the incredible developers behind super well-known games like, drumroll, Plight of the Zombie, and Dairy Queen Tycoon. Moving onward.
Sorry. I'm trying to get up on stream for you, although my laptop is dropping the internet every once in a while, which I think is why we lost the stream.
Oh, that
at least
kind
on
of makes
my
sense.
On my screen. But this is what you're referring to right here.
Yeah, so Plight of the Zombie, and this is their game list. So from this, Fox was very easy. Puzzle Quest, Play the Zombie, DQ Manager, whatever. This is the list of games that led Fox to decide that this is the perfect company to develop the idea of Firefly, which is
depressing to those of us who love that.
Because
series.
what I want is a super well developed big game.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. I don't want to see this browser thing, this monstrosity. So the idea of the game is the players are a captain. Your job is to find a crew, find a job, and keep flying, which is like, okay, well-inspired quote, I guess, while trading with other players. And that's pretty much all we know about the game. If you go to the keepflying.com link, so if you go to keepflying.com, that is the link for the game. This is an official game. It is backed by Fox. It was announced at Comic-Con. It's been known for a little while, but I didn't really want to cover it until I got more information about it, because when I first saw this, all I saw was this page. So I saw Firefly Online, and I saw their video, which is like not super, doesn't have a ton of information on it. So I was excited because I thought it was a full game that they were going to release. I was actually hoping originally that they were going to drop the online thing and make it a single player game, because when they're going up against the giant forces that are EVE Online and CCP and Robert Space Industries and Star Citizen, like, I almost feel like they probably should have made a single player game. And you know what they should have done? They should have done a single player game that went alongside a new season of Firefly. Like, come on! Just do it! Like, why not? I don't
asking
understand.
for the world here. It's like you're asking for the world.
I'm asking for the skies. I'm asking for the verse. Boom.
Now, just because we're on the topic, we do have 2 keys to give away. I'm thinking we should make up some sort of Twitter question.
So what we have is we have 2 Rome 2 Total War keys to give away. Well, okay, 4, kind of, because we're giving away Total Rome and we're giving away the Greek States DLC, but we'll be giving away both of those individually to 2 separate people. So you'll get the game and you'll get the DLC if you win. We don't actually have questions yet, and what I kind of think we can do is we can give a little bit people some warm-up time. So maybe we'll jump and do one more topic, and then do the questions for that. So if you guys want in on that draw for Total War and Greek States DLC codes, brush up on your Firefly, I guess. We can do Firefly questions.
I think we should do at least one.
We'll do at least one Firefly question, and we might do some other question, but we'll be doing at least one Firefly question. What it will probably be is I'll say a quote, and then I'll ask you who said the quote. And like, if you've seen if you've seen the show and the movie, it probably won't be that hard for you to pick out. But I will try to think of something. So we're not going to do that right now, but there is a giveaway coming. And what I want to jump into next is we'll jump into Super Hot after the next one. So if you want to load up Super Hot, because we're having some problems here, so load up Super Hot and make sure you're not broadcasting sound. Good. Okay.
I do have the
here it is.
Tesla article up, if that's what you were...
Perfect. Let's jump to that right now. I just wanted Super Hot to get loading. So Tesla Model S Autopilot is a thing. The idea behind it is the Tesla's setup uses 360-degree flush-mounted cameras and radar with software and hardware level image processing to put the information together. That's a direct quote. That is, he tweeted that out. Elon Musk, the craziest person on the planet, the real-world envisionment of Iron Man, in my opinion. The guy's crazy. He's just, everything ridiculous coming out of, like, the inventor space right now seems to come from Elon Musk. The Hyperloop, Tesla in general, his SpaceX or whatever it's called, his, like, space programs. The guy's just crazy and awesome, so I'm stoked to see that. There's quite a few other companies that are doing this. Mercedes, GM, Volvo, Continental, Google, all these places have partial or full car control things where it can drive itself to some degree, but he wants to kind of go on it on its own. You'd think with Google being there that they might have some partnership possibility, but nope, they have decided to go their own way. So that's going to be really interesting. Personally, I'm not way into the car autopilot thing. And I know Richard and I talked about this in past, and neither of us really are. But where I'm way more okay with it is, say you're on a job site at a mine, and you need these huge, massive trucks to just kind of truck stuff around. I see that being much more applicable. I'm not a huge fan of self-driving cars on the road because of demonstrations that we've already seen of people being able to hack into them and just mess with them. Make the car think the e-brake's on so it drives differently, make the car do whatever. So that just kind of sketches me out, because while I'm not perfect and probably more flawed than that machine is, I'm not personally hackable. Unless you're talking about
yeah.
social engineering, which is a thing, but like, yeah.
I'm very anti.
Yeah.
I'm pretty strongly anti. I have always enjoyed driving. I drive a lot. It turned out that I'm driving for a living right now. I drive for the Teamsters Union for 155. That's the local movie union. Working on Wonderland right now, which is pretty cool. But I drive a lot. I drive large trucks downtown Vancouver, which is some of the worst driving you can have. And honestly, I'm relaxed and I get it done every day. And it's not that difficult. And I am terrified of sitting in a car. And the thing is, technology is beautiful and there's technology is great. You know, take my S3 for example. Every once in a while with my S3, I can type in 5 words in a text message and it just sits there. And I feel like it's looking at me and nothing's happening. And then like all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, those words. Oh, the words.
Well,
and then it puts all the words
send
out.
those, yeah.
And then, you know, other times it works fine and there's just different issues. Whereas if my phone decides not to put those words out instantaneously, that's not an issue. If my car decides to not avoid something instantaneously, that's a huge issue. And being a firefighter as well, I've gone to car accidents, and because people will say, I can hear the argument that, you know, it's safer, it'll save lives, and I could see that possibility, but I also can see other possibilities of cars being hacked, of, you know, anything that's I'm just scared. I feel
virus.
Exactly, or any lag time. What if there's a communication error? Something goes down. Someone spills water. Someone kicks, you know, something out of the wall somewhere. And you know, redundancy is great. The fact is, if your email doesn't show up for 5 minutes, it doesn't matter. If your car doesn't respond for 5 minutes, you're dead.
It matters, yeah.
You
and
know,
like
it's
people have said in Twitch chat, I've seen quite a bit of it. Sorry to cut you off there. But
No.
that cars are already getting hacked. Not even self-driving cars,
Yeah.
because there's so many computer components. Wait till everything goes way beyond that. Wait till everything's networked and automated and all that kind of stuff. Like, it'll just get easier.
Even when I was in high school, guys would, especially with their imports, even not it started to change even with big trucks and stuff like that, getting them chipped, right? Getting a different chip in them, changing the computer, programming the computer. It's big. It's not this old school, you know, carb engines. You know, you got to be a motorhead to understand what I'm saying there. But it's not that style anymore. They're not just machine. You know, there's a lot of computer there, a lot of software. I was watching Twitch today, and there was an advertisement saying that I don't even remember what it was for a Chevy. I'm not even sure what one, but saying that it will send you a report onto your email saying how your car is, tell you all about the pressures and all the different tires. Who's saying that you can't get? It's a wireless signal. So let's start with that security. Yeah. And then who's saying that I can't get into that and say, make your car think there's zero pressure, or make your car think, like we were watching with the hack, you know, oh, you're going to parallel park right now, which parallel parking is probably the most turns of a steering wheel you would do in such a small travel distance. So it just, your steering wheel starts spinning, you know, anything like that. If there's any sort of delay in reaction time, I believe that's really scary. I think the way to start curbing vehicle incidents are harsher penalties for big issues such as running red lights. There's a huge problem with red lights in downtown Vancouver, Richmond, Surrey, stuff like that, and people just aren't cracking down on them, especially. And we were talking yesterday about we're getting a little away from technology. We were talking about a lady who hit someone and who was distraught.
2 people, yeah.
So she got away with it because she was upset.
She was crying and she was upset, so her tears were blurring her vision. She was speeding and went through a red light and killed 2 people.
How not okay is that? I can't even begin to describe.
She was distraught coming home from a Justin Bieber concert.
I couldn't care why she's distraught.
No, like not at all. And
it's not okay. You need to park it if that's the issue.
It's horrible. So like, not personally stoked, but you know, if anyone can do it properly, it's probably Musk in some way.
That's true. Just to get back to the original topic, if it is done properly, which technology is always evolving and becoming more a part of our lives. If someone had to do it, even though I am anti, I would give it to the Tesla boys.
And it's especially because of how he said it so far. 360-degree flush-mounted cameras, radar. Both things, local.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
not like, oh, it's a network thing that's pulling in from Google Maps, and Google Maps is telling it traffic conditions and all this other kind of stuff. It's like 360 degrees cameras, radar. Both things that you can have locally on a car. So that actually made me happy right when I read that, too. But I think it's time to move on from there. So, can we get that super hot video going? That super hot video. That's not what it is at all. Anyways, it's right there. So if you want to just like blow it up and maybe increase quality so it doesn't look like poo,
Don't have the option.
that's weird. Maybe if you go to YouTube site instead of this thing.
Yeah. It's gonna start playing.
We're gonna show off. Yeah, we're gonna show off. Can you get it back to the beginning?
Yep.
Just give us 1 second, guys. We're gonna show off Super Hot, which actually looks really cool. Really, really cool. It was the fastest game to go through Steam's greenlight process ever so far, which is not a huge period of time, but still. So here we go. No sound on the video? Do you have it muted?
Oh shoot! I have my whole system muted because I didn't want any sounds to go out. Or no, I want it.
27%. There you go.
Sorry guys, it's completely my fault.
No, we won't play the whole thing. So basically, the idea of that was... Back up.
That's about where we ended. I think that's probably good.
Yeah, I think they got the essentials of it. A few people in chat, like one guy's like, it's Braid, and another guy's like, it's just a mediocre FPS with time stuff. What do you expect people to do, man? And like, it's Braid because it has a movement time mechanic? Really? Like, yeah, you can draw parallels between it. I did in my notes even, but it's not the same game. Braid's a platformer. This is a shooter. What are you talking about? Like, yeah, you can tie into Braid with the whole idea that in Braid, in certain points, when you move, everything else in the level can move. Yeah, and this it has kind of the same thing, but it's an FPS. It's not a platformer. What are you talking about? You wrong, son. Anyways, so it's interesting. It's the fastest game to get green light on Steam. You can play it right now on their website. So if you go to Super Hot Game, I think is the URL for it. Let me check this up really quickly. superhotgame.com. If you install some little Unity plugin thing, you can play in the browser, which is probably not the best way to play it, but it's just a cool little kind of mechanic for a game. It's not game breaking. It's not the craziest thing to be released in the last 10 years. It's not anything like that, but I played it in the browser for a little period of time, and it was actually quite entertaining to play. You get to kind of dodge bullets in an interesting way that's never really happened before. You get to shoot people in an interesting way that's never really happened before. With the time mechanic, it's hard to hit stuff when it's moving parallel to you, but it's really easy to hit stuff when it's coming directly at you, and other different combinations like that. So it's interesting. You should check it out if you're a fan of little indie games with new mechanics. That's definitely for you. If you're not, then it's not for you, so don't check it out.
I feel like people are being a little hard on it.
Me too. I don't know where that came from.
It's just an easy little game. Like
Yeah.
when you showed me, I was not critiquing it like it was the second expansion for StarCraft, or if
Yeah.
Half-Life 3 or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't putting on that pedestal. Just
It's
a
not
cool little game.
It's just a cool little mechanic, and it's like it's a tiny game. I don't know. It's not that big of a deal. I wouldn't harp on it so hard. Jeez, guys. I think it's pretty cool. I'm going to try it out. It's not a 20-hour content, $59.99 game, but it's been overhyped. What? You guys are nuts. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Kiwi and Apple, man. Game looks fun with a smiley face.
Yeah, exactly.
Winky face.
It's a small, interesting game. Take it for what it is. You can't compare this to Skyrim. You can't compare this to any other huge game. This isn't GTA 5. I don't know why everyone's freaking out so much. Anyways, we're going to move
talk
on.
about Half-Life 3. Why'd you have to bring it up? It's true, it hurts.
Super Hot. There's
It
two
hurts.
names in the title, but there's a third name in the URL. Half-Life 3 confirmed?
Yes. Three
Boom.
words.
Half-Life.
Number 3.
100%. Yeah,
Half-Life 3.
Half-Life 3. Half-Life because time is...
I'm only living half a life until I get Half-Life 3.
Okay,
I'm gonna
anyways.
lose all my followers. All right.
We're going to move on to Dota 2 LAN support, so I actually want you to kind of head this up.
Okay, so Dota 2 announced LAN support. Now, we do have some questions about it. If you guys know, go ahead and tweet at me or Slick or both of us and let us know, because I'm wondering if it's a pure offline, like if you have no internet access whatsoever, can you go on Steam offline mode, and can you play? Did we confirm that?
So the reason why he's asking this, and like we've confirmed it to a certain degree because that's what everyone's saying, but the wording on it is a little bit vague. So what they say is now you can create a local lobby and use your computer as a host, which makes us 99.9% pretty sure that it's offline. But then they said to host a rousing round of Dota 2 through your home or cafe network. They didn't say LAN. They didn't specifically say offline.
The wording is there that it could totally be offline, but it's not explicit. It's not in stone. That's the only reason why we wonder. But the main thing about this is if it is what we want, which is local play, which is LAN play, which StarCraft guys, you know, if you knew me before today or you've been following StarCraft at all, everyone has been screaming for LAN play.
Yep.
And in a lot of other games, you know, why can't we have just a pure LAN experience? Civ 5, we had a pure LAN experience. It was better than hosting online. It was just a better all-around experience. Something like LAN is catering to the gamers because that is what they want. StarCraft 2 and Blizzard saying, no, we're not going to do that, is shutting the door on
terrible.
what their customers want.
Exactly, and like this is why we're looking into this further, and this is why we're like, well, it's not actually worded exactly how it could be, is because we're worried hypersensitive because we've dealt stuff like League of Legends not having LAN support, and games dropping and losing everything, and like because randomly reconnecting into a League of Legends game breaks the whole thing. It's screwed because if you get one team that can reconnect before the other one, they get a massive advantage. We have StarCraft games losing total connections. Like it's just
they
not
did improve it with you can recover the game,
but
that still completely stops the speed. Basically, StarCraft stops at the bottom of the graph and just goes up exponentially with the speed, the actions per minute, what is required to play, and you know even at the first couple minutes, it's above, at least I believe in my elitist sense, above many games. And the fact is you have to stop that, reload, you know, have all those issues, and you know, lag, anything like that, any slowdown can be detrimental to the viewers and to the players. So something like having a pure, like, because if LAN truly works, I guarantee you they're going to be using LAN at tournaments, you know, the Invitational. They're going to be absolutely using it. It's way more dependable. It's way easier to manage. And those network guys at big LANs run around like crazy. And they work their butts off. Even local LANs, like Vancouver, Godicon, you got these guys who, you know, manage networks full time. And then they come and they volunteer their time and they work hard, you know, just to keep everything up and going. And I'm sure having it as a LAN would be so much easier for them. You know, and at your place, you know, when we go game there, you know, any game that we can play on LAN is just so much more stress-free and generally always way quicker, more responsive. You know, it's just a better all-around experience.
Yeah, that's very true. Now, we're going to jump, basically, we're done. Nope, we got one more thing. Okay, so Steam Universe is expanding in 2014. Can you bring that up on your thing? So, like I just said, Steam Universe is expanding in 2014. One thing I've seen this addressed in the comments, I gotta get this really quickly. In the chat, some people are like, oh my god, mods are abusing their powers. That could totally be MooBot. I have MooBot installed, so MooBot's gonna automatically remove certain things based on certain parameters. So if you're typing things in certain ways or linking certain things, it's just gonna automatically remove it. So it could be MooBot, I'm not entirely sure. But if you do ever have any problems with the mods, feel free to message me on the forum and I'll take care of it as fast as I can. Anyways, Steam Universe is expanding in 2014, and then what they say after that is, last year, quote unquote, last year we shipped a software feature called Big Picture, a user interface tailored for televisions and gamepads. This year we've been working on even more ways to connect the dots for customers who want Steam in the living room. Soon we will be adding you to our design process so that you can help us shape the future of Steam. And then if you scroll up a little bit, they have these 3 circles, and there's little things in the circles, and I don't know what they mean, but there's a countdown, and that countdown's coming up pretty freaking soon. I think that's Monday or something, and I'm pretty sure it's Steambox. I don't really know, but like
I'm
I'm
sure it doesn't mean Half-Life 3.
There's 3 circles. Whoa, there's 3 circles. But it's probably not because it says living room. But there is 3 circles.
Yes, probably
I
not. But
don't know.
you know what? Any news from Valve is exciting.
There's also 3 parts of the URL: store.steampower.
Oh goodness.
Boom. Anyways, yeah, I'm personally thinking that it is probably going to be Steambox, which is awesome because I'm super excited for Steam to just waltz in and just destroy because they do that, and I'm excited. Anyways, there's not a lot really to say about that. There's no real information other than this.
We got a countdown.
We have a countdown. Like
Yeah.
I said, it's probably coming on Monday. I think that timing lines up. correctly in
63
my
hours.
head.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's more information coming then, so be sure to check in 63 hours, 41 minutes, and 42 seconds, because I will be checking in then. And other than that, we're going to jump down to our 2 copies of Rome 2 Total War to give away. So my first question, what should my first question be? I don't want it to be super obvious. Because if I ask, like, I'm a leaf on the wind, everyone will know instantaneously who I'm referencing. Let's see here. Some of the just how things are worded even are going to be too easy to
Yeah, that
reference.
first one.
But this one will be pretty easy, but we'll do this as the first one. So how we're going to do it is you have to tweet me the answer. So at SlickPC. I know it's Wash, but I said that wasn't the one I was going to do because it was too easy. Anyway, so the first one is going to be I was aiming for his head. That's actually a pretty iconic quote, but I don't think that it's super easy to guess who that was because a lot of people aim for heads in that show. So we'll see. Oh, looks like we got someone who's already answered that. So we'll move on. I'm not going to announce their name right now because sometimes Twitter kind of messes up. So we have a winner. I will announce their name soonish, but sometimes Twitter kind of mixes where people come in until later on. So as of right now, it's James Fleming. But after a refresh or something, it could change, so we will see. We've had problems with that in the past. So now we have to come up with some other...
Form of quiz.
yeah.
Trying to think right now.
We got to think of a question. Sorry. I'm going to ask the Twitch chat right now. What do you guys think this question should be tuned towards?
That's a good one.
Like, should it be another Firefly question, or should it be something else, or what do you guys think? Yeah, it was used on Castle 2, I know that. Yeah. There's actually a lot of references to Firefly and Castle. It's pretty awesome. StarCraft, hardware, Dota, Linus, PC hardware, ST2. Whoa!
Ninja Gaiden.
Okay. The question was answered by me in this video. But I don't know how many people are paying that close attention to exactly what I said. But what does DDR3L stand for?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, what does the L stand for? I like this because there's actually 2 words there, but there's only 1 letter. So it's not as easy as you might think. But I think someone will be able to answer that fairly quickly as well. So let's see. Boom! Done. Someone's already done it. So as of right now, again, it could change, but it's Ken McClelland. It might change because Twitter might decide to reorganize things because I'm getting Zerg rushed, but right now someone has already won, so if you answer past this point in time, there's no point. I just got 20 new interactions. It is not low latency, it is low voltage.
A lot of people
Anyways,
saying latency.
yep. So, I think that's it. Wind, you're correct. I probably should have let the mod team choose the questions, but I think those were alright. And I think that was a fairly alright stream. We don't have... Oh, right. Wind, I need you, sir. We have one thing left to do.
We have 2 keys to give out, don't we?
We just did. I will message them later.
Oh, I was okay. I didn't. know you were
Those
giving out the
guys
first one.
that answered that question, make sure that you follow me because I will follow you, and that way I can send you a direct message through Twitter. So just give me 1 sec, and I'm going to try to find the links to the build logs of the week. Because I've got them. I forgot to make the PowerPoint, but I've got them. Later, man. Okay, now I'm going to email these to you in like the most ghetto way possible. Because I don't know how else to give them to you. So give me 1 second. So we're doing build logs of the week, and then the stream is over. We've already done the giveaway, and we will be moving on to les after party. Sorry guys, just 1 second. If anyone's wondering, a little bug on the forum right now, if you can't load your messages or notifications when you're on a page, make sure you just put https:// before it. You can't load those things if you're not in HTTPS mode, and some old links and stuff will only have HTTP, and if it only has HTTP, it will still bring you to the website, but messages and notifications will not work. So if you can check your email real quick, you should have links to both of those things.
There we go. Which one would you like first?
Either one, go with that one. So this guy, I'm going to move to there. This guy, if we go back up real quick. So, is this very top? So, Live Turbo 24, or Live Turbo 24, with Project Aspros. Aspros? Not really sure. Scroll down a little bit for me. This case, actually, the case for this build made it into last week's build log of the week, and this thing is freaking cool. So if we scroll down a bunch, we're gonna get to some photos. There's gonna be some in-progress stuff. We gotta go down like a bunch, a lot. All right.
There you go.
So this case, super good-looking case, and just I love how it works. How the power supply goes behind the motherboard, all that kind of stuff. So we can move down a little bit more again. It's showing 2 different computers. So this is like an in-progress shot. It's interesting how you can completely take this case apart. There is a few different cases that you can do this kind of stuff with fairly easily, but not a ton of them. We just keep trucking down. This thing ends up
Really
looking
cool.
so clean.
It's a
Really,
beautiful
really
motherboard.
clean. And I like how he went with the colored theme. Those white Intermax fans look super nice. It ends up being so tight around everything because how the cable management comes in from the side there and how the power supply tucks in behind is really nice. Those white lights
Really
look great,
beautiful.
and then all the sleeving on that power supply also looks great. And again, it's so tight, it hugs the motherboard everywhere. Cable management there. I like how you hide your drives in the back there as well. There you go.
Wow.
That's
how
the shot I
nice
was
is
waiting
that?
for. That's
That's
so
really-
nice. Just super cool. I love that. This, like I said, this case made it into last week's build log of the week again. I'm starting to feel like this is the new R4 because for about a few months there we had R4s in build logs of the week, like almost every single build every single week, which was a little bit nuts. Can we scroll down a little bit more? Just different action shots of the computer.
Wow.
That shows where the power supply is positioned on the case, so it's behind the motherboard there. It's just, oh man, it looks good.
Really cool build.
Super stoked for this guy, so that was a great build. That will be in the Build Logs of the Week forum thread created by Windspeed fairly soon. Not immediately yet, and we will be awarding him a forum badge because he's awesome. Now if we can move on to your second link. Now this is Ghost. Many of you guys know Ghost, and you might be surprised when we link this build log because it doesn't have the water cooling awesomeness or quite a few other things that we often have with builds, but if you look at his sleeving, like the first thing you notice, you look at his sleeving, holy crap, that looks good.
Really cool.
Strung together, the runs are beautiful, just how there's no, one thing I notice a lot of times when people have sleeving, they'll sleeve their case and they're just like, plug it into the things, and then there you go. Like this one's actually, the curve on it even is just super nice, so great attention to detail. And this is more, he's got nice paneling if you look in the back here. It looks great because he's put paneling in there, and he's put paneling in the bottom with a little bit of a light box, which is also just awesome. It's super clean. Like you pretty much can't get this clean. It's
The
awesome.
only thing I would say I don't like, just to be a critiquer, is the red and the yellow. I feel kind of contrast a little bit. It's kind of a black, red, and yellow.
Right? Yeah.
If that cabling was red, I think I would like it even more. But again, personal preference.
Yeah, and I think
Still a beautiful build.
I'm pretty sure he also posts in here talking about how this is more like he's a water cooling nuthead.
Yeah.
And if you notice, it's an all-in-one water
Yeah.
cooler. So like this build, I don't necessarily know if it's this build, but he's going to be making a more masterful build. This is
That's
just
still
kinda
awesome.
where he's
It's
coming
still
from.
awesome.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is.
So
That's super cool.
and that's actually the main message I wanted to send out with this one is you can make something. There's RAM in there. It's just really hard to see.
Yeah, there's RAM.
Slots 2 and 4. It's just pretty hard to see because it's not like super flashy
No
RAM.
heatsink.
Yeah, no real heat sinks on them as far as I can tell. Holy crap, people are mad at the cable. I don't think this power supply is even necessarily staying in this build. Well, the reason why I want to throw this build in here is he has another build that he links in this that is actually his current computer, which is crazy water cooled, but it has a lot of work to be done on it still. And this is going to transform. So while this build log says complete, there's more coming. So he has this one that's complete, which is really cool because if you look at the light box on the bottom, the paneling on the back, and the really, really high quality cabling, along with one of the neatest builds I've ever seen, there's still more coming. So I wanted to show that off as well. And I think that's kind of it. We can do one more Twitter Blitz if you guys want, but that is actually kind of it. Someone's like, RAM is only for gaming. That's not even true at all. We even covered that earlier in this very episode. RAM is for tons of different things, but you don't need as fast a RAM as you might think. What is happening? I accidentally clicked on someone's thing. Real quick, why did you get arrested? I didn't actually get arrested. I was trolling all of you. So,
Apparently it worked.
apparently, yeah. Apparently it worked. I never actually got arrested. If you look closer into the photo, not only is it probably physically impossible for her to arrest me, but I don't actually have cuffs on. My hands are just kind of like back there, and she's smiling, which is like weird. But yeah, that was at it's called the night market, Richmond Night Market. So she was just there, and I asked her to take a picture with me because I saw her taking a picture with a little kid, and I was like, why can't I take a picture with her? That should be fine. Oh God, we have everyone answering all the questions. So we're gonna refresh this. Do you or your brother fold at home? We do not actually do folding at home, but what we do is boink. Or how our father calls it, bonic.
Sounds way better.
It sounds so much better.
Way better.
It's not bonic, but it sounds incredibly better when you call it bonic. So we are a part of that processor speed for a good cause group, but we're not technically in the folding group.
Isaac wants a shout out of the party Twitch channel again. It'll be at the Luke_LAFR.
Yep, shout out to the After Party Twitch channel, just like he just said. So twitch.tv/Luke_LAFR.
I'm going to throw it in the chat right now.
He's throwing it in the chat, which would be great. We're going to refresh here. What do you think the ideal internet speed is? I have 3.5 megabits per second down steadily and 1 megabit per second up. What do you think? You're probably doing pretty good. Personally, the ideal internet speed is
All of the
fast as I can
Yeah.
freaking get it. Google Fiber, 100. That's
Yeah.
what I want. Like, so I might not be the best person to ask that, but if you're looking at like cost per performance level, I don't know, man. It's really gonna depend on where you are. But for me, Google Fiber, like I want as fast as internet as I can get.
Yeah.
I don't like waiting for things, and I love the office internet for that reason. We have really fast internet in the office. Oh, I love this question. Do you like cheeseburgers, hamburgers, bacon cheeseburgers, or bacon hamburgers? I'm probably gonna go with bacon cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
Just put all the things
All
on
the things on it.
Like when it's a hamburger, just like load it up, man. You guys rock. I can't wait to build my computer. That's awesome. I don't even know what else to say about that. Good luck building your computer.
Cool,
If
man.
you're wondering about parts, I would highly recommend going on the forum and go to the new builds and planning section and post in there because there's a ton of people that'll help you out like crazy. There's a really good community on the forum. Dun, 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 dun. And we're going to refresh again. Are you excited for Breaking Bad on Sunday? I have a pretty crazy habit. So what I do is with these popular shows, how I will watch them is I will wait until the whole thing is done.
Mm-hmm.
So like Breaking Bad, I'm not going to start watching until they're not making Breaking Bad episodes anymore.
I saw the first couple seasons. It's awesome.
I'm sure it's awesome. I'm 100% sure it's awesome. I'm going to wait till it's over because I can't wait a week.
Have you
I
seen the
can't do it.
cartoon where it's like he goes into the doctor's office and he's like, "Well, you have cancer."
Oh yeah, you live in
He's like-
Canada or whatever?
I think it was. Yeah, I'm not sure if what it was, but I kept reading it and it was saying, he's like, "Oh no, now I'm gonna have to turn to a life of crime." He's like, "Don't worry, citizen. Like your country is here to take care of you. You've been a hardworking citizen." Oh, I guess I'll go back to teaching high school chemistry then. The end.
I can't remember who. I know there was one that was Canada, and there was a few that were other countries too that have similar situations. But yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. If this wasn't based in America, this wouldn't work at all. Survival horror genre, I have no problem with it. My favorite genre is just like, this isn't even really a thing. Open world. It's not really a genre. But like Assassin's Creed
Everything's a
4
genre nowadays.
looks super cool to me.
Yes, it does.
Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls series have been my favorite games forever.
Mhm.
Far Cry 3 was awesome.
Yep.
Sandbox games. My favorite thing is sandbox games. That's what I was looking for. I couldn't think of the word. Open versus closed headphones. Your opinion for music and gaming. If you're in a loud environment, closed headphones. If you're in a very quiet environment, I would say open headphones because open headphones can give you a more natural listening experience, but it also lets sound leak in and out. So if you're somewhere where there's going to be other people, you could annoy them, and they could annoy you. With closed headphones, you kind of lock it in, so you can't annoy them much, and they can't annoy you much.
What is your Sennheisers? What model is that?
595s. But if you're looking into Sennheisers, I would suggest 555s because they're a lot cheaper and really similar. And there's a little
But
hardware hack.
holy cow, are those headphones good?
Yeah, I love them.
I got to play a round of Counter-Strike Go the other day with Briggs, and I could hear him perfectly,
Yeah.
and I could hear everything within the game perfectly.
Yeah.
It was, wow.
I'm
that was
super
incredible.
stoked with those headphones.
Yeah,
When I bought
those are-
that was before I worked with Linus, and I did an insane amount of research. And then I found them on Amazon for like 74% off. They were cheaper than the HD 555s, and they're HD 595s, and they're from Amazon. Like, they weren't from some random little retailer. So I was like, yeah, gonna buy those. So I was a little bit broke, but I bought them anyways, and I'm super stoked with those. But if you're looking, don't buy Sennheiser below the 600 series. You're either the biggest baller on the planet or a troll. I'm not really sure which one, because anything 600 series and above from Sennheiser is awesome, but you have to like make it rain in the store when you go to buy them, or else they don't actually let you walk out with them. Because if you're not baller enough to make it rain, there's no point. You should probably just spend your money on other things. Oh my goodness, a lot more stuff. Great water cooling case for around $200. Depends how many rads you want. Ow. I don't know. Personally, like, I've seen some. It depends how many rads you want. Depends how thick the rads you want. Depends how many things in your computer. Like, are you water cooling your graphics card? A lot of times today's people aren't water cooling their graphics card.
There's so many variables with that.
Yeah, please post on the forum.
Because what they'll do on the forum is you'll post a question like that, and they'll say, well, if your angle is this,
They'll dissect
if your
it,
angle is this, if your angle is that, it'll...
Yeah. I know in an R4 that's like way lower than $200. People are saying more like Switch 810. That's definitely not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I'm personally not a fan of plastic, so I have some problems there. But if you go with an R4 or what is it called? The Fractal XL R2, I think it's called. That's a great case, and you can still fit quite a bit of rad slots in there, so it's not a bad idea. If you fill up like everything, I think you can fit 2 double rads and a single rad in the back. But you're gonna have a little bit of long runs there, some other stuff. You prefer AKG over Sennheiser? That is not a bad point at all. AKG are awesome. How excited am I for the new AMD GPU 9000 series? It's going to be like R9 290 and R9 270 and all that kind of stuff. Pretty excited. Not even just for those cards. Like, I'm very excited for those cards. I'm super stoked to benchmark them, especially on Star Citizen. But it's got NVIDIA on their tails a little bit.
That's what I'm excited for.
They freaked out a little bit.
That's
like, they're
personally...
like, oh crap, we got to release a GPU pretty quick. Like,
That's personally what I'm most excited for, is put stress on them.
yeah.
That's the thing that I'm... because I like NVIDIA.
Yeah.
But I want them to be pressured. Same thing with Intel. I would love an AMD chip to just come out and start rivaling them, as hard as they possibly could and just push Intel, really put the pressure on them. Because really, as far as I'm concerned, of course, you could disagree with me, but I feel like Intel's, the boss dog, right? I would love
kind of
to
are right
see,
now.
but I would love to see them feel stress, feel pressure, sweat a little bit,
Because-
and really have to pour into it. And
especially with Intel, like recent leaks, man, have they got complacent about desktop performance. Like, wow, oh yeah, we were able to have like way less power requirements and the same performance. I'm like, you don't realize what I care about in that sentence. You said one thing I don't care about at all, and then you said one thing that I care about a lot, and it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, the same performance is not what I'm looking for, so that's super boring.
not looking to save $10 a year on my electricity.
Yeah.
I'd rather.
And like the thing with AMD is you can often get a really, really well performing platform for not very much money at all.
That's true.
Because like you can get super cheap motherboards with
Yeah.
your not that expensive CPUs,
Yeah.
and then overclock the tar out of them and still get a lot of performance. But people are going to lean towards Intel. They just do. It happens. So yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting sector, but like. One thing with computer hardware in general is there hasn't been a ton of stuff to push it really hard lately, so a lot of companies are getting quite complacent. So I'm excited for the 9000 series graphics cards because they're going to push NVIDIA, and when NVIDIA gets pushed, AMD's going to get pushed, and it's going to get pretty crazy for graphics cards in the next while because of stuff like Oculus Rift, stuff like Star Citizen's coming out, where they're like, we don't care. We're old school game developers. You better have a PC that can run our game. We don't care about you if you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's cool for computer hardware because that means they're going to be pushing really hard. And Oculus Rift is kind of doing the same thing. It's 3D. Good luck. It's a lot harder to run 3D. You need to get some better hardware. So hardware companies like NVIDIA and AMD are going to be pushed because when one of them is going to be able to say, we can run this Star Citizen on Oculus Rift depth setup at okay frame rates at the top settings, when only one of them can say that, the other one's going to be crapping themselves. Completely crapping themselves.
Absolutely.
Because everyone's going to go, okay, I want that setup,
Right.
not I want the other setup. So I'm
It's going to
excited.
be the new benchmark.
Exactly. So
I
I'm
remember
excited.
when EverQuest needed a 3D graphics card.
Holy crap!
Everyone was like, "Oh my god!" Now I have to go. I just bought a new graphics card a year ago. I'm going to have to go do that again.
Yeah.
But that's what the state of gaming was, and they're kind of re-bringing that back.
Yeah.
Snapbacks are popular again, and like the '80s look has basically come
Yeah,
back. Well.
yeah.
Us computer guys, we're going back too. We're going back to the point where I want to play this new game. I have to go buy a new graphics card.
Yeah.
That's kind of where it's coming. Which is, I'm just kind of reiterating what you said, but I'm totally cool with it.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to actually start benchmarking stuff. One of my benchmarks, I'm gonna leak something that I haven't even talked to Linus about, but I'm doing this, so I don't even care. But one of my benchmarks is gonna be I'm gonna run Star Citizen and I'm gonna wear an Oculus Rift and benchmark it. Because I want to be able to benchmark realistic situations, and people are going to try stuff like that setup. They're going to try Star Citizen, which is insane, and they're going to try it with Oculus Rift, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to kill graphics cards, and it's going to be fun because I like killing graphics cards. And then I get to release numbers, and it's going to be interesting. But like, this is where we're going, and I hope that they're ready. And I hope 9000 series is ready because they've already said that minimum requirements for Star Citizen is a 460. And they suggest getting, once it comes out, this is NVIDIA side requirements. They didn't release both sides, I don't think. But a 460, and once they're out, they suggest getting an 880, or if you can wait long enough, a 980. Because they're like, yeah, they're not ready. Once we have full settings for this game, they're not ready. And I was like, yes.
Wow.
And a little bit of a sneak peek for my benchmarks for the Hanger module. I had a 780 overclocked as high as I can get it without it throttling down. And a 3960X overclocked to 4 gigahertz on the bench, and there was points in time where I dropped down to 30 FPS. And that's before it has all these graphic settings that it's going to have soon. So that's pretty cool.
Apparently, we're setting records for the longest stream.
I was actually just going to say, we can
I'm cool to go for a bit. I'm used to like the 10-hour, 11-hour
yeah, but we're going to do
StarCraft
after
streaming.
party too.
It's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
We'll do a little bit more Twitch questions if they're still good. They are still good, so we will see. Some guy, James Fleming, says, are you excited for Dying Light? I'm super excited for Dying Light. That game looks sick.
It does. Looks super cool.
Did my video on that ever come out? Can Twitch chat answer this?
On Dying Light?
Yeah.
I swear I saw it.
Did it release?
while we're waiting for that, Luke Painter, at Luke Painter, saying Dreamcast is still online. Very excited about it. Played all the time. Dial up for days. Red Spot Games still make games for it.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's
I know we talked about it
crazy.
a little bit, but that's really cool. I'm gonna have to check into that. Thanks, Luke, for tweeting that. You know, it's thanks, Luke. Thanks you as well. You know, but no, that's really cool. I literally had no idea that there's any company still making games for Dreamcast. I think I have a buddy who has one. I'm gonna have to Brad. I think Brad's got one, and we'll have to look into that for sure.
Yeah, it's actually pretty crazy. Are you going to play GTA 5 on consoles, or are you done with consoles waiting for PC release? I'm not done with consoles. I actually personally don't really have anything against consoles. I think they fit their own use case. It's just not necessarily a use case that's completely tuned into me. I like PC gaming more, but I have already played GTA 5 on console. Yeah. I don't think we have time to go through the gigantic, long discussion that is GTA 5, but maybe we can do that on the after party. No sponsor messages. Don't get yourself fired. Boop, 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 boop. We actually planned it out so that I wouldn't have to do that. Woo! Yeah!
Awesome.
So, yeah, I don't have to do sponsor messages, which is good. Someone just asked, Asus DirectCu 2 or AMD 7990 for gaming? Huh? Oh, 780. Those are two very different setups. You've got Crossfire going on, and you've got a single card going on, and that's confusing, and I'm running away now. But I would suggest a single card. Dying Light seems meh. The market for realistic zombie horror games is oversaturated. It's not really like the other ones though, so I'm not really sure.
Haters gotta hate.
Yeah, I think it's still pretty cool. It incorporates a lot of different stuff. And when you're saying realistic zombie horror games, what's coming to my mind first is DayZ, but I'm assuming that's not what you're talking about.
What I would like to
Dying
say
Light
is, what is a realistic fictitious event? Just saying, like, if it doesn't exist, it is theory. Therefore, the realism is subject, is it not? I understand. I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate.
Yeah, but I think that's still a correct term, because is it?
Realistic would be like pertaining to realism. And
But can that encompass the idea of a possibility? So
yeah,
realistic
probably.
if there were such thing as zombies.
True, but then what are the zombies and how do they act? Slow zombies, fast zombies. Everything used to be slow zombies. Back in the day, zombies were very slow. Now it's The Walking Dead, like, they're all soccer players.
Yeah,
like,
there's
and they all just...
during the day they're fairly they're not a big deal, and then that's why it's good night, good luck. Because once it hits nighttime, they go crazy. And I had to go through that, and they're nuts. They all go crazy, and you see them like transform, you start walking up to them, and there's this like red explosion. They're like, and it's ridiculous. The reason why I like that game is at nighttime it just gets insane, and it doesn't get insane because you're like, oh, I can't see it as much. It gets insane because they're all like super demons at nighttime. It gets ridiculous.
It's just it comes out of the same comment as like, this World of Warcraft sword is so not realistic or something like that. Like I totally understand what he's saying. I totally get what he's saying, but.
It's just how else do you phrase it, I think it comes down to. Like, maybe it's not the most correct way of saying it, but I don't know how else he could. I think, yeah. Anyways. Are you going to cover the build logs? I did. I don't know what to say. Will a 770 even handle Star Citizen? Sure it will, man. It definitely will. 760 handled Star Citizen quite well. It's the minimum requirement is a 460. So a 460 will handle Star Citizen. It'll just suck, and you'll be on not very good settings. That's more what it's about. Like, when I'm saying it's going to push hardware manufacturers is because once you're running an Oculus Rift, and once they have more settings available, it will start crushing systems. And I think once you're running an Oculus Rift, the minimum requirements will not be a 460 anymore. And because of that, I'm going to try and release a new set of system requirements for if you're running an Oculus Rift and Star Citizen. But that will be kind of like around release. So I will release that in like 2015. Which may not be very relevant right now. Dun, 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 dun. I'm going to jump down to this one question, and then we're probably going to be done, I think. Is it possible to buy a cherry-picked 4770K, and would you recommend delitting a 4770K? It is possible. What you can do is look for your bin number and look for all that kind of stuff, and find someone who's already overclocked it and then buy it from them. So you can get pretty much guaranteed overclocking numbers, but you're not buying a cherry-picked 4770K from Intel or from a retailer. You'll be buying it from someone who owns it already. So, yeah. So it'll be used, because you basically have to figure out how well it performs. And would I recommend deleting it? I don't really recommend deleting anything, because the cost to performance gain on that is insane, because the cost of you killing your chip is pretty high and very possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't even really know what to say. I wouldn't really recommend it. But if you're like, hey, I have some money laying around and I'm thinking about doing a PC upgrade anyways, and you want to go a little bit crazy, and you are really experienced, blah, 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 feel free, man. Go ahead. It's cool, and there's almost no better chip to do it on, because 4770Ks gain a lot from delitting.
Mm-hmm.
But it's complicated. But yeah, I think we're done. I'm really freaking thirsty, so I'm going to stop before I leave the office, have a drink, maybe sit down for a sec, and then we're going to rip over to my place and do some after party. So we will catch you guys later. The after party is going to be on twitch.tv/Luke_LAFR. Tell people how they can find you.
At ColdSC on Twitter. That's pretty much the best way. Generally, when I'm doing my StarCraft stuff, I'm casting on whoever channel it is, whether it be Vancouver GotaCon or any of the other events that I have covered. So there isn't really a way to follow me there. But yeah, the Twitter is the best way. And if you want to add me on Facebook, I actually have an account. First name's Cold, last name is SC. If you want to add me, and as long as you're not BM, I'll add you back. And yeah, thank you guys for taking me in here. I was a little nervous to start. Still a little nervous. We'll pretend I'm not. But it was a lot of fun. And yeah, we'll see you guys at the after party.
I kind of want to go relax a little bit, so I think the first game we'll start with is Hearthstone, if you're down.
Yeah, we can start with some Hearthstone.
Start with Hearthstone, then we'll probably move on from there a little bit. Thanks for the good show comment, guys. We'll be back for the after party. I will see you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys later.